Good morning. Happy Veterans Day. I got like 2 hours of sleep, and I'm already on 4 hours of work today, and I don't know. I don't have it in me. Now I'm fighting with some guy that posted some stupid video on the internet.
Well,
I had time. It's
that's
on
part
me.
of the course.
I had time today. Like that's part of the problem.
You didn't have a long commute between shows, so
yeah, it's true. Some guy posted a video about how football's bad, and it's getting all this like, people are like talking about it like it's some smart. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like it's just the dumbest of the games weren't even good yesterday.
There was a lot of
well, except all the games that were good, of
yeah,
course.
We're actually
and the football is good. It's the most incredible athletes in the world, and we get to plan all of our Sundays around them and be grateful for them. And some of us get to have professions because of them. But other than that, the it's just dumb s that we say to get attention on the internet. That's who we are as a society. We're just look at me. I was gonna wait and bring it up with Jeremy. There was some guy. I was hoping to find the guy, the you're playing like a bunch of assholes guy. I was trying to find him. Right? Just to talk to him. I just want to find him. So I shared it on social media. Ryan Chell, nice guy. Shared. Yeah, I like Ryan. Most of the time I like Ryan. He shared it as well. Like, hey, Glenn's looking to find this guy. If any of you know how to track him down. Some a-hole goes on there like, dude, that's old news. Move on. Now, I happen to know who this a-hole is, and he's someone who desperately wants attention, which is why I won't use his name. He desperately wants attention. He has no idea what he's talking about. He has no clue. He's just an idiot that wants attention. And by the way, that's what we all are. That's what this has done to us. We all just want to say anything for attention. That's who we are as humans. And so this guy, who might be the nicest guy in the world, I don't know, the D-Gen, maybe he's a good guy and he does other good content. Someone who follows me is a fan of his and is like mad that I'm calling him out. He might be a great guy. I don't know. This is the dumbest video I've ever seen. It's just, I'm going to put something in the ether for the sake of getting attention. Football's not good. Every one of us in this city that didn't have to be distracted by watching our team this week, that had the benefit of knowing that our team already won, that got to spend the day, and all of you got to have the Red Zone channel yesterday because they were doing a free preview on top of everything. We were grateful to spend a day watching football. We would have liked for the Steelers to have lost. That would have been fun. Although, as I said this morning, I had to measure that against the fact that then you'd have a pissed-off Steelers team that you had to face next week. So that was actually quite the juxtaposition in my brain. Like, I know I want the Steelers to lose, but do I want the Steelers to lose? Like, it was a very difficult feeling that I had.
Probably safe to say you want the Steelers to lose.
And yes, it's embarrassing they continue to put the Cowboys in national windows, particularly as they're starting Cooper Rush. It would be great if they started. I would be all in for Cooper Kupp.
At quarterback.
And his gentleman's 45 passing yards yesterday. Yes, that's embarrassing. I agree. There are individual decisions that we can all agree that don't make sense. It doesn't make sense to continually put the New York teams and the Cowboys in these prime viewing windows no matter what their reality is. It's stupid, objectively. But jumping to football sucks. Dude, you had I don't know what's going on in your world. Like, if you had a tough day, like maybe you lost bets. That might be
probably what it is.
Like, I'm guessing that you are frustrated about something else, and so you're just going to football sucks. And the guy followed up with me. Oh, no, the 4 p.m. window was crap. I got to tell you something. I gleefully enjoyed watching the New York Jets get bludgeoned. Every moment of it. If you could ask me today if I could spend 3 more hours watching the New York Jets get bludgeoned.
Could you watch, 3 more hours?
Yeah. You can have my afternoon.
Of the Jets losing 60 to, 16?
Yeah. I'm all in.
Across 2 games?
All in. Give me another. And another. And another after that. I don't actually feel bad for Jets fans because they're long suffering, but like
What about Joe Douglas?
yeah,
and,
I mean I like Joe. Joe's a good guy.
C.J.
But like
Mosley
the
and
Morgan
Morgan
really,
Moses and
whatever. No, now you're just
John
going with
Simpson.
those guys are just mercenaries. Like I don't there might be nice guys, but I don't have any feeling for them. C.J. Mosley is the closest to like being a Raven, but even that is, you know,
There's more Ravens, I'm sure.
the guys that played for the Ravens, but I mean like guys that you have some emotional connection to. There's no emotional connection to those guys. Like they're guys that played here for a minute. And then that's cool. Like appreciate the fact they played here for a minute, but you're not going to have an emotional tie. Be like, God, I really want to see great things for John Simpson. Within
Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, thank you. Within 5
Tyrod Taylor, definitely.
Yeah, sure. Within 5 years, no one will remember that
Maybe
John
they should start
Simpson
Tyrod
played
Taylor.
for the Ravens. They might want to think about that. Did you see what Trey McBride did? Did you see that? I'm sure the football sucks. I'm so sorry that not every game can be fixed so that they're all within a touchdown of each other.
Might be onto something.
Get you some soy milk, too. Like, get you... We'll rock you to sleep because the football games weren't one-possession games.
Oh, Chuck Clark's there, too, yeah.
I do. I like Chuck.
He's hurt.
Yeah, I like Chuck. Good guy. Good guy. But we're just a website full of assholes. That's what we are. A country full of them that are desperate for attention. And look, again, as I've already said to these people multiple times, we all do it. I'm not trying to pretend like I've never done it. But if I do it, if I put something out there that's just for the sake of attention and you call me out for it, I'm going to say, you know what, you're right. That's all it was. Years ago, this is a true story, years ago, I was on, we were doing the radio show one morning, and the Masson, I guess, had the rights to the Ravens at the time.
Really?
Not for like obviously Masson couldn't air the games during the season, but they aired
preseason.
the preseason games and like the Ravens television programming aired on Masson. And they also had the John Riggins show on Masson. It was a DC radio show, right? And they brought John, because they had to deal with the Ravens, they like brought John Riggins up and like filmed all these commercials in Baltimore at the Ravens stadium because that's who they were partnering with, and tried to make it seem like there was some synergy between the Ravens. Well, if you like the Ravens, you'd watch John Riggins. Now, John Riggins, damn good football player. Nobody's ever going to debate that. I never listened to his radio show. Maybe it was entertaining. Couldn't tell you. Great football player. But no one in Baltimore gave a rat's ass about the John Riggins show because why would you tune in to watch John Riggins, if you were a Baltimore sports fan, talk about whoever the hell it would have been at the time? What shitty quarterback did they have in D.C. in 2009? Whoever that would have been.
After Jason Campbell?
Maybe it was still Jason Campbell at that point. Campbell. Yes. Here, all Baltimore sports fans, tune in to watch John Riggins talk about Jason Campbell. So I just made fun of it on the show one day. Like one morning, I just made fun of it. Like, this is so stupid. Like, this is just... It's another example of the brainless, like, people that obsessively try to make Baltimore and D.C.
Right on Jason Campbell.
Look at you.
Yeah.
That try to make Baltimore and D.C. one market. Like, that. This is what we do. Like, this is... Yes. And it was embarrassing. And it was at a time where Masson was also, all due respect, in the moment, they were embarrassing. Like, they were... Remember, this is the era of making commercials... Orioles, you got to be there to see, and then it would be just the dumbest thing that no one has ever remembered. Like, the time that Felix P.A. had a walk-off walk. Like, Masson invited some of this.
Those are big moments.
Upon themselves. Like, now they're much better now. Let me make that abundantly clear, but the Orioles were embarrassing at the time, and
they go back to those like mid 2010s commercial styles. Those were.
What were the 2010 commercials?
I don't know. They were like people tweet them out on Twitter every now and then.
Oh,
they're
really?
like I need this. It's like just random compilations of Adam Jones and JJ Hardy highlights.
In fairness, the Orioles were
Yeah,
good.
they
It
were
would be
good.
far
They
less
were good.
embarrassing to say you want to be there for something that matters.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
far
it wasn't
more
Felix P.A.
embarrassing
and
to try to like
Aubrey
turn,
Huff and
turn these godforsaken Orioles teams into something to make you say, the next moment, be there. And there were no moments.
Luke Scott was a guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he was a guy. He certainly was a human.
Ty Wigginton,
they were
all-star.
They were all. That's true. You can never take that away from him. That happened. And so I don't know. I just went off about it on the show on one morning, and the guy that ran the psychopath that ran the radio station was like, "Oh, dude, we could get some attention for this. You should put that out there and send it out to different blogs. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I mean, sure. I guess it was in the middle of the summer. We weren't doing it. The Orioles sunk, so what the hell else were we doing? So I did, right? And it got all the attention. But then I was, like, oh, this is way over the top. This is some sports radio douche being a sports radio douche, like Deadspin's picking it up and all the opposite are picking it up, right? And so it's accomplishing
exactly
the thing that it was supposed to accomplish. But now, like, it's the opposite of what I've been known for in my career, which is, like, not just saying things for the sake of saying them.
More,
right?
You're
like,
always an even-keeled guy,
No, I'm not always even-keeled, but it's not just for the sake of saying it. Like, I think it out. I'm not just going to, come to the bottom of the barrel. This admittedly was bottom of the barrel. And I remember being down I was also working at XM at the time.
Well, it wasn't your fault. The Orioles they weren't putting a product on the field.
This is entirely, everything that happened for like 5 years on the air was the Orioles' fault. We were desperate. We would do anything to try to strum up attention. But that's the way it was. Like, I get it. I know what it's like to try to strum up attention. So people down in DC, they're like, dude, do you really care this much about it? No, I don't. I don't care this much about it. I just wanted attention. That's it. I just wanted attention. That's the end of it. That's all it was. We've all done it. This guy wanted attention. He lost a bet or something, and he was mad. But let me tell you what didn't. The football doesn't suck. Not even a little bit. Is it different than when it was your grandfather watched growing up? Are there people that still pine after, like, this is the other, like, hot take. College football is so much better. No, there's just more games.
So, yeah, they have more close games.
Yeah. If you're watching in a particular window, you got the option to get off the game. If you were, who did Texas beat the hell out of this week?
Florida. They beat Florida.
If you were watching Texas, Florida,
better switch over to Rutgers, Minnesota, because that was a ball game.
There you go. You could go over to. That's the difference, stupid. The difference is there's more of them. And so, if you don't like the one, you can just switch over to another one. You can find another close game somewhere. Somewhere, somehow, there's Alabama's beating the brakes off of LSU. Well, don't you know Missouri,
Oregon,
Oklahoma
Maryland
game.
were a game for a little bit.
It was a game for a minute. Oklahoma, Missouri is a game somewhere. You're mad because there were 3 games on in the 4 o'clock window, and none of them were particularly close. Again, I was still wildly entertained. Not by the Dallas game. That one was real. You would have to care about the Eagles to find that game entertaining. But the Cardinals-Jets game, I don't care a lick about the Cardinals. And yet I found myself entertained.
Your hometown team.
Yeah, for 2 years. They stunk. I had to watch that crap. If anything, I have reason to hate the Cardinals for having to have watched them for 2 years when they were garbage. I had to watch Matt Leinart play football every week.
He was a Heisman winner, wasn't he?
I should hate the Cardinals. But I don't. I'm indifferent towards them. And yet, because Kyler Murray's playing a very high level of football, I got to give him credit. I said this earlier today. There is no MVP conversation. There's an MVP of the league, and then there's other guys who are also playing at a very high level. We have tried to force other people that are good for the bit where they were trying to force Sam Darnold into that chatter earlier in the year was one of the top 10 bits of just objectively hilarious. How many smart people wanted Sam Darnold to be an MVP candidate? Jared Goff. With all due respect, Jared Goff, despite throwing 5 interceptions last night, is still having a good season. But pretending like Jared Goff is... They don't play the same sport! Kyler Murray's looked really good, man. Kyler Murray. I checked to see if we have some sort of issue on YouTube. John in Little Rock thinks that we're having a YouTube problem this morning. Okay. I don't know, dog. I don't know. I just work here. As long as they'll have me. I could just talk about how the football sucked. It's a great day of watching football. I loved watching football yesterday. I'm grateful that there are a few things in this country that we all can get together and agree about, like we can football. Football rules. And we all spent the day watching football yesterday. And it was fun. And I had a great time. And not every game was a classic. Not every game was a thriller. Not every game is going to be one that you're going to... But that's how it works. You know why I like that? Because it reminds me that the sport isn't rigged. Because I assure you, when you go on about how the sport was rigged, that if they could rig the games, they would want the games in that 4 o'clock window when they have a larger TV audience and fewer games, they'd want them rigged to keep them close. But that's what I appreciate. I appreciate the fact that the games weren't rigged. That I don't know what I'm going to watch. That I might just see Aaron Rodgers sulk and be miserable, and an organization that could have made a phone call to Lamar Jackson. Remember when Mike Greenberg came on here? He was like, dude, I love Lamar Jackson, but Aaron Rodgers is just so perfect. And I like Greeny. I'm not trying to go. But there were so many Jets fans.
They had already had Rodgers at that point?
No, they hadn't. They hadn't finalized it yet.
Oh, okay.
Like, it was in the pipeline. It was kind of clear it was going to happen. And I was like, hey, Mike, if you could have one or the other. It's like, dude, I love Lamar. But, like, the Aaron Rodgers thing just makes so much sense. It's just so perfect.
Well, maybe if he didn't pop his Achilles, then.
Or maybe if you try to get the quarterback in the prime of his career instead of the guy that's about to be 40 years old, maybe that might be the better way to go about doing things. But, hey, you do you. And, again, I don't think that Lamar Jackson was ever leaving Baltimore anyway, but the idea that you wouldn't even make the phone call and just run it up the flagpole and say, hey, this would be definitively better than the plan that we do have is insanity. So, yeah, I don't mind it. And Aaron Rodgers is an insufferable. I mean, he's the internet. He's America in 2024. He's insufferable. He knows better than the rest of us. He's smarter than all of us. He's a douchebag.
Glad you finally get it.
Right, thank you. Like, that's it. I am not smarter than you guys. I'm not. I mean, if you're listening, you know that, obviously. But, yeah, I can't help it. I take joy in watching someone who is so convinced that they know better than everyone else. And I don't care what his politics are, because I assure you that I don't agree with the politics of all of my favorite athletes. God. But if you're an insufferable douche about it, whatever it is, I'm going to call you out for it and enjoy your downfall. And, yeah, I enjoy the downfall of Aaron Rodgers. The guy that knows better than everybody else. The guy that's the smartest guy in the room. I can't help but enjoy it. And the team that just kept throwing more at Aaron Rodgers, even as it was already not working. Well, yeah, but that's just because we don't have enough Aaron Rodgers on the team. If we just had more Aaron Rodgers, then maybe we would solve this problem. Loved it. Loved watching football. Loved it. Didn't love the Commanders jumping off sides. That could have gone without that. I mean, I'm trying to think of after a disastrous start to my weekend picks, I actually came around a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, I think you finished better than me.
I don't remember what the line was for the Houston game.
It was 3.5. So they covered. Texans covered.
Damn it. I had a chance to go from 0-4 to 5-4. That didn't happen. It's a real bummer. We'll get to that in a little bit here. It's a real bummer that didn't work out. Oh, it wasn't a great week for much of anybody, other than John Little Rock.
Yeah, of course.
It's the only person who had a good week. I technically am one game closer to not being at the bottom of the table. Hey, it was a banner week for me, actually. I'm back within a game. Hell yeah. It was a great day. It was a great day of watching football. Look, we're going to complain about the officials. We're going to complain about – we'll do all of that. Forever, we can do all of that. They missed the spot in the Washington-Pittsburgh game by a full yard. It's laughable that they went and looked at it again and came back and didn't at least say, okay, we got the spot wrong. We're going to move the football. We're going to measure. I don't know that he would have gotten the first down. I think it's possible he didn't. But them leaving the spot was embarrassing. It was horrendous. But that happens. That's baked in. If them missing the spot by a yard in the Washington game is the moment makes you say, well, football sucks now, then you just must be new to football. I don't know what to tell you. Nothing's changed. It's the same stuff. You hate it. You complain about it. But then you say, I can't wait to watch football again tonight. You know what we'll all be doing tonight? Watching football. And grateful for the fact that we can. And you know what's going to happen come March? We're going to talk about how badly we wish we had football again. universe revolves around it. Just the way that it goes. I don't know what happened. It wasn't the plan for today. I just got set off by a couple of some nonsense on the internet. But thank you. It got me going. I do appreciate that. All right. Coming up on the program, a little bit later on, Hall of Famer Dick LeBeau is going to join the program. We're going to kick off Ravens-Steelers week. Get a little hinky thinking I'm going to talk to Dick LeBeau. I haven't read some of his book. Ugh. But no, we'll talk to him. He's a legend, obviously. I did not. You know what I didn't know about Dick LeBeau? He actually began his career as a Baltimore Colt. He was on the practice squad or whatever they called it at the time. He'll tell us all about that. And, this book he wrote about the 2008 Steelers, a year I'd like to forget. Also, later on, Jeremy Conn will join us as he does every Monday. And right now, we kick things off. We had him on a couple months ago, and I had not finished his book yet. And then the last couple of weeks, I had the opportunity to finish it up. It's wonderful. It's a really sweet story. The book is called Unitas to Unitas, and it's as he says, life's lessons passed down from father to son. Joining us this morning here on GCR, he is Joe Unitas. Joe, it's Glenn. It's so great to chat with you again, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Hey, Glenn, thank you for having me back.
Hey, man, I got to tell you.
I was worried you might not like it.
No. Look, I have to be honest. Nothing in the book tops the story of your dad showing up at the party and breaking things up. It is my one seed. I know that the movie isn't about that part of his life, but when you do finally make it, I'm begging you to find a way, maybe like a post-movie credit scene or something like it was a Marvel film, because I really feel like it deserves to be in there somehow. But it's wonderful. For people that didn't get to hear it the first time we chatted, Joe, can you take me back? And I know you ultimately talk about how you really didn't have a whole lot of interest. You're trying to write a film about your dad. Writing a book on top of it is a lot to do. But what did it mean to you to go back and share these stories and the impact that he had on your life and the impact that he still has now more than in 2 decades after his passing?
Yeah, it was, like you said, it's not something I wanted to do. But after having done it, I'm like, man, that was pretty cool, right? Just, sitting down and really diving into, things that I went through as a young man with my brother, my sister, my family, these different stories and how, when you never sit down and really take a deep dive and think about things, but it forced me to. And I was like, man, it taught me a lot of very valuable lessons, and now I'm able, put it down in writing. I have a tangible, item that, I can pass on to my 3 sons, and, hopefully it'll help them when they start having their own families. So, yeah, I'm glad I did it.
I'm really glad that you did it too, and I think there's a lot of Baltimore sports fans for whom this would be a wonderful gift. Like, if you've been struggling with what to get Dad this year, then I would highly recommend it. I think it's right up his alley. Joe, a couple of things, and I want to separate these two things because, again, as the book goes on, you talking about your career and obviously how significant it's been for you to try to get this movie made. But in the early going, as we talked about the first time, your father is, when we say larger than life, obviously, that phrase gets thrown around a good bit. But he's the definition of that here locally. And one of the things that was so interesting to me, and not only from, the time that I was, had the pleasure of spending around your father, but the story, I just keep thinking about how impossible it was. When you were growing up, did you recognize how unique it was that someone that was such an, again, larger-than-life figure, this I don't want to use, phrases that are inappropriate. I don't want to say, like, godlike or anything like that. But that was still just a part of the community, just ubiquitous and always around, and everybody had a story. And, did you recognize that as you were growing up, how incredible that sort of duality was?
It probably didn't become, when you could actually comprehend it until, I don't know, maybe like the middle school years. Right, when I was little, seeing people wave at him in the car and whatnot, that was like, that's weird. Why are they doing that? But yeah, as we got older, it made more sense once you got to see NFL films and stuff like that, and it was just like a constant daily thing. It seemed normal to us because that's what you grew up in. But when you kind of take a step back and look at it in its entirety, it's like, wow, he was pretty awesome. But I think that the cool thing is just how humble and accepting he was of it, and how gracious he was to the fans and everybody that approached him.
And just part of the community.
That was the true lesson right there. Just being a son watching that.
We lost, obviously, Brooks Robinson a year ago, and it was one of the things I talked about a lot after his passing was like the parallel there, that like these were two truly iconic figures, and yet everybody in town had a story. Everybody had an interaction because, it was your hero just lived down the street and was just sort of a part of things.
Yeah. I mean, Baltimore was fortunate to have two guys of that good in their respective sports, but just be such great gentlemen.
Yep, no question about it. One of the things that I love most, Joe, from the book was you talk about how you got into the movie business and how it was basically your father, like he didn't want to do Any Given Sunday, but he did it for you, and how you had gone and gotten a degree that you were trying to put to use, and you were almost afraid to tell your dad, and yet he was incredibly supportive of it. And I think those, like the lessons that, when you talk about lessons, those to me, I think stood out more than anything, is like the lengths that he was willing to go to just be a good father and to try to encourage you and constantly do what was best for you and obviously your siblings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the money that was spent on schooling and college. And when I said that I wanted to do this, he could easily have been like, no, you're not. And I would have totally listened. I would have been like, okay, I'm not doing that, drop it. But yeah, anything we wanted to do is such a huge supporter of. He did not want to go to Dallas by any means, like you said, and that's in the book. But yeah, he did it, and that's what we do, right? As parents for our kids, we'll make sacrifices and encourage them because you never know what it's going to lead to.
I'm 100%, and obviously, it's something that was significant for you, and it's a really, really special story. Again, we're chatting with Joe Unitas. The book is Unitas to Unitas. It's available starting tomorrow, and we're going to link it up on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio for you to go ahead, get your order in, and really it will make a tremendous gift. Joe, was there...
Glenn, somebody told me back there in Baltimore that's already out in stores locally.
Oh, tremendous. Already available.
Yeah, I just found that out Saturday.
Excellent. So you can already go ahead and get it there at bookstores here locally, which is a wonderful thing. Joe, I wonder, as well as you knew your dad, as you were going through the notes, maybe not just for the book, but even, as you've been working on the movie and the script, and I know we'll talk about the process because I know it's been arduous. Was there anything that you still learned that you didn't even know about your dad from the time that you had together?
I don't know specifically about the time that we had together.
Well, I just
but
that you didn't know from that time, just that you've learned over the process of working on these projects.
Well, more so learning about my family background, him, his siblings, my grandmother, what she went through. I mean, she's probably the reason for all of this, right? Just how hard she worked, right? Taking over a family when my grandfather died when my dad was 5, and she just went to work 3 jobs. And, my dad saw that work ethic in her from a very young age, and it's just kind of, been passed down now, right, from generation to generation in our family. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. So when you look back on what they went through and the time they were dealing with, the depression, if I feel like, I'm down or I don't want to do this. It's like, man up. You're dealing with nothing, buddy.
Wow. Wow.
Compared to what other people in your family dealt with.
Joe, you wrote about when Drew Brees broke your dad's record for consecutive games with a touchdown pass, and kind of the unique similarity, right, of someone who was kind of overlooked and written off, and obviously the history of your dad and starting in Pittsburgh and being unwanted, right? I know it's not a direct comparison, but I think a lot of people have enjoyed the fact that Lamar came from Louisville, which is where your dad came from. But he's also, remember, this was a guy that everybody wanted to have convert to being a wide receiver, right? Like, he has dealt with more than his fair share of detractors. And I wonder if that story and that parallel has resonated more with you and that comparison to your father and what he's become in this city.
Yeah, that's funny. I was just talking about that. It was either yesterday or Saturday with somebody. And you don't see guys get to the NFL and then just make these incredible improvements year over year over year, what Lamar has done, right? And that's just such a testament to him, the work that he puts in the off season.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's super humble, right? He's such a team guy. I remember when he first came to the team. Oh my gosh, now I'm gonna blank on his name. What was the former PR director?
Oh, Kevin Byrne, yes.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Yep. I was talking to Kevin about him, and he told me, he's like, Joe, you'd love this new guy we have. It's like he's just a great teammate. He's like, he reminds me of your dad a lot, and how humble he is, and includes everybody, and he's going to be a heck of a leader. And gosh, to see what he's doing this year is just amazing. Right, we're not used to offense like this in Baltimore, are we?
You're not kidding me. You are not kidding about that. No, but I'm so glad that you said that, right? Because as I was reading the Drew Brees part, I was starting to feel a little bit about that. I'm like, there's somebody else that kind of was overlooked a little bit. Like, wow, it's a unique parallel there, and I'm glad that
Lamar is working his butt off. It's so impressive to see.
Well, and it's funny because I think everybody, and you reference obviously the impact of Tom Callahan's book, but look, admittedly, Joe, I'm 41, right? Like, I did not grow up watching your dad, and so it wasn't until I read Tom Callahan's book that I got a full understanding of what made him so great, and those countless hours that he spent with Raymond Berry after practice and just obsessively running over things. And I think that's another great parallel to, like, you have to put in the work. There's nothing that makes up for putting in the work, which clearly was the story of your father and his success.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can't. There's no shortcuts to success.
Yeah,
right? It's all about the discipline and what you do when nobody is watching. Right? The 3 hours on Sunday is a very small percentage of everything.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, so Joe, you wrote about the process of the movie, and I remember, like, I didn't know, I hadn't read that part of the book the last time we talked. I first of all, how you continue to stay with it, I can tell how much it means to you, because it feels like it would be awfully easy to give up at some point in this process, and I appreciated the way that you wrote about it, like. Yeah, but that's not – again, this is a life lesson from your dad, right? Like, you don't give up on that. Are you feeling like there's a corner that's being turned? And, God, it was heart-wrenching to, like, read about how you had your director, and I don't want to give anything away. People can read that in the book because it would have been – oh, my God, that would have been so cool. But, like, are you feeling like the corner is turning at all and that we're getting closer?
Well, we're – supposed to be having a meeting this and hopefully in the next couple weeks, maybe 2 Mondays from now when the Ravens play the Chargers in LA. I'm actually going over for the game, and we're trying to set up a meeting with a director who, if he came on board, is a pretty big name, and that would be a huge thing for us. But we'll see.
Well,
I've had a director, like he's alluded to, and we talked about it in the book, and that didn't work out. So yeah, that was hard. I felt bad for about 5 minutes, and then I was like, all right, off we go. Keep it moving.
I appreciate that. I assume at this point it's probably not still an option to have Joe Flacco do the football scenes. I assume that's probably going to have to be off the table at this point in the juncture.
This guy keeps getting jobs.
That's true, right? It's unbelievable.
So, I mean, if we can make it work, it's it's a small thing that if you would be doing, it's not going to take a ton of time.
Right.
We just want him to, be the guy who throws the ball in the 58 championship scenes. Right? So he's not acting by any means. It's just we'll call him a famous body double who's really good at throwing a football. So why not get somebody who can do it?
Oh, I thought it was such a cool thing.
And I thought it was cool to have that tie to Baltimore.
Yep.
Him winning the Super Bowl. So if he's available, right? He's like you said, he's playing, and then he's got a house full of kids.
Oh,
so
I'm convinced he might play.
We'll see when the time comes.
He might play till he's 50. Like it might be one of those situations. We talked to him in the spring, and I said, everybody thinks that you're just trying to avoid having to take care of all the kids, and he was like, that's not entirely untrue.
Right? We were talking earlier this year with a buddy in a fantasy league I'm in, and I said, all he does is throw touchdowns and make babies.
It's not a bad life, by the way. I would say that you can get it.
I mean, my dad had 8 kids total.
That's a great point. Look, right. Joe, I'll bring that up. You referenced, I think everybody knows that there has been, I don't know what the right word is to describe, the relationship with the, the family from his first marriage. And I appreciated, how cordially you attempted to write about it. Was it tough to go there? Like, was it tough to talk about it in the book? Was it tough to, I can't imagine it's been, a great thing for you, for your family, that sort of divide has existed.
It is what it is. I dealt with it for so long. I just I tried to express it in a way of kind of understanding from my side. I didn't want to be some jerk, because that would be easy, right? Just right from a hateful standpoint. That's not right to do. I've always been taught to be a person of character, be nice to people, but things happen. You move on past it. But I kind of I understand how they were growing up, and to have divorce happen, that's not easy for anybody. And then he has a second family, so I get it.
Yep.
I try to deal with it, but majority of that stuff is in the past. There's really not much of a relationship anymore there, so I don't focus on that. I got my own 3 boys and our family and extended family out here where we now live in Las Vegas. So I'll focus more on the happy things.
Nope, I appreciate.
Wish them all well.
I appreciate that. Joe, I seriously truly enjoyed the book. It's also, and I don't mean that, like, I appreciate how readable it is. Like, I appreciate the fact that you can just sit down, and this is not going to be something that you're going to end up having to pick up the next day and be like, oh, right, where did I leave off? It's a really, really readable book. And I mean that because a lot of people want to prove how smart they are when they write a book, and it makes it very difficult. This is something that even a dumb guy like me could sit down and enjoy, and I genuinely appreciate that about Unitas to Unitas. I can't wait to talk more about the movie as it goes on. I am so grateful for the fact that you are continuing this, because there's an awful lot of people. My father and I will be there the first night that it's in theaters. I promise you that. Sharing it together. Joe, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you for taking the time. Is there any website in it at all? Just continue to drive people to Amazon and local bookstores in order to pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's on Barnes and Noble. It's on Amazon. I think those are the 2 big ones that anybody can find. And then, I just, like I said, I was just told a couple days ago by a friend that lives up in Bel Air that his dad had just seen it in the store that day.
Joe, thank you. Congratulations, and look forward to chatting again real soon. Appreciate you taking the time.
All right, Glenn. Thanks, man. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, sir. Joe Unitas with us here on GCR. It's a neat read. It's a really neat read. This one's going to my dad. Like that's where it's going. He'll get that one. Maybe I'll just buy him a copy so I can keep this one. I'll take that back. I'll buy him a copy so I can keep this one. It's a special story. Special story. Appreciate him taking the time. All right. I'm all over the place today. This is what happens when you... I stayed up to watch the end of the football game last night. On me. Like, I acknowledge it. It's on me. Right? It's on me. Well, it wasn't a great game. But it was close, which should make that guy happy. And then I had to be up at 5. It's just a nightmare. I got a 1 o'clock meeting, and then I'm home.
Okay.
I don't know what you're working on, but unless it's like Michael Jordan, I'm going home, taking a nap. You want to let everybody know what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel?
You get $7 in free slot play for every touchdown scored during home games at Baltimore or by the Baltimore or Washington football teams this season. Live Rewards members, $7 in free slot play who have their Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine. Any slot machine on the floor have to be actively playing in order to get your prize, but once those touchdowns score during home games for Baltimore or Washington this season, you get $7 in free slot play. Adirondack Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, when we come back in, let's do picks recap. We'll split it up. We'll do picks recap. We're not doing Pats because we did Pats on Friday. So we'll do picks recap when we come back in. We'll do 5 plays later on in the program. So picks recap next. Glenn Clark Radio.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Brooks Dubose profiles Maryland basketball forwards Derek Queen and Julian Reese as the Baltimore-built duo reunites in College Park with hopes of bringing the Terps back to prominence. Also inside, meet college basketball players from all of the area's D1 programs. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores, where you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Monday edition of the program. I just got this. Dick LeBeau is running 5 minutes late, Griffin, just so you know. Just got that update. So now I've said that. John Harbaugh is meeting with the media as we speak.
How dare you?
I know. John Harbaugh. I should make a video about it. John Harbaugh is meeting with the media. Does not really answer the question about Kyle Hamilton. This is from Jeff Zrebeck's Twitter. Quote, "It's Monday. He's been here all week getting treatment. We'll see how he looks Wednesday and go forward," unquote. So nothing, man. Nothing. Which, by the way, might always – I don't know that that's John Harbaugh playing poker as much as that's just the reality, is that he really is day – some guys really are just day-to-day. We always think that, like, you're hiding something, and some guys just really are day-to-day. They don't know, and that might very well be the case for Kyle Hamilton. So we'll see. The other, obviously, interesting injury story going into Ravens-Steelers on Sunday is now Alex Highsmith, who got hurt late in the game against the Commanders yesterday. It looked awful. I mean, when you saw the way his ankle turned, it looked horrendous. Now, it seemed like some of the...
And kind of the way he grabbed it, too, just looked...
Yeah.
Like it looked like...
Yeah. Someone in his family tweeted out, and I don't know who Sam Highsmith is. It might be his dad. I don't know. Wait, isn't his dad... didn't his dad used to be a player? Hang on a second. Alex Highsmith. His father is... His father... Okay, Sam is his father. Then who's the other Highsmith? Who am I thinking of?
Highsmith. Famous Highsmiths.
Alonzo Highsmith was a boxer. That's not who I'm thinking of. Who? All right, whatever. Anyway, I'm going down the rabbit hole. His dad tweeted out, "Great win today for the Black and Gold. We are thankful for all of you that reached out about Alex. All I can confirm is that it is an ankle injury, and we will know more tomorrow or Tuesday." Apparently, he was on crutches in the locker room after the game. At the least, you would think it's not great for his chances of playing this week. It looked like it was significantly more than that. I mean, it looked awful on TV. Certainly don't wish anyone to go through any sort of awful injury, but needless to say, it would be impactful for that Steelers defense if they were to not have Alex Highsmith, who might not be T.J. Watt, right? Like, we all know that's the singular most important player on that team, but Alex Highsmith is a really good player and very impactful for that defense. So that'll be something that we'll monitor this week as well. So just putting it out there. John Harbaugh did say he expects Tre'Davious White to be playing outside corner and to be in the cornerback rotation. Cool. We'll see. I don't know how good you feel about that because, he hasn't been very good. And a lot of people have been talking about over the weekend about maybe the possibility of them moving Brandon Stevens back to safety because of the struggles of Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson. John Harbaugh took that off the table during his press conference today. Said he's not an option at safety. He's going to continue to be a corner, and that means that inevitably there are going to be times this weekend where Russell Wilson is throwing a moon ball up for grabs, and George Pickens is probably going to be one-on-one with Brandon Stevens. Because the Ravens don't do the bit where Marlon Humphrey just, tells a player all night. It don't work that way. They play their sides, and inevitably that'll be the case. And we'll all hold our breath. Russell Wilson is not the player that he was 10 years ago. And he completed 50% of his passes yesterday. There's this weird trutherism where if you're a Russell Wilson person or a Steelers fan, Russell Wilson's the greatest quarterback. He's not. He's throwing moon balls. And that he's really good at. He's really good at throwing moon balls. He's always been good at it. And George Pickens, in particular, appears to be a really good target for moonballs. Mike Williams was a good target at the end. Now, part of that, some of that falls on St. Juste, who's
not
the guy. But in fairness, do you think that the Ravens,
right.
Do you feel great about, is this that much better than throwing him out there? That's part of the concern going into this week. A significant part of the concern going into this week. But on the whole, it's Ravens-Steelers week. It should be exciting. Let's go over quickly the picks from this weekend, which started off dreadfully for me, just like a nightmare. Son of a bitch. If you were also 0-4 apparently.
Yes,
to start
I
the
was.
week. I didn't realize that we picked all the.
I was
college
off to
games
a
that
terrible. I didn't realize either. Never doing that again.
Yeah, Thursday night, not great. Although we missed it by an inch, right, on that 4th and 10 play. If that 4th and 10 play is an inch the other way, and I'm still not even sure that it was a first down, but I also know it wasn't going to get overturned. If it's 2 inches the other way, then we get our cover. But alas, not the case. The Bengals do cover. That was a point for Stetka, as well as John and Little Rock, and also Ken Zales, Ryan Chell. Oregon, Maryland. Only Jeremy and Ryan had the guts to go with Maryland.
They knew something.
Yeah, they knew
Of course,
something.
Ryan knew something. Yeah.
Very frustrating because it's like one of those games where a cover, it doesn't even really like make you feel good because it wasn't close enough. Like those games where they played Ohio State down to the wire when they played Michigan. Like I'm not trying to pretend like that's as good as winning, but it is valuable going. They didn't go toe to toe with Oregon. They just didn't S their pants until late.
I feel like they didn't get favorable, I guess, replay.
Maybe, but the 2 picks were
Yeah.
it was rough. It was rough. Look, I never thought they were winning the game anyway.
Right.
The season's going to come down to whether or not they can win their 2 home games against Rutgers and Iowa. If they can, they'll go to a bowl game. And I think there can be peace with, hey, this was going to be a down year. If in your down year you still at least get bowl eligible, all good. Now the expectations are back to being through the roof when Malik Washington shows up next year. If they lose to Iowa, which is very possible, though who did Iowa lose to on Friday? It was UCLA. That's bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
Oh, right, because you have your. Oh, is this going to come down to the Maryland game?
It probably is. So
my.
I also have the 3 I also bet like Oregon and Ohio State's overs as well,
Okay.
but I also had Nebraska. I did Nebraska.
You
Iowa
felt
and
good about that
Maryland.
when they beat Colorado, right?
I did. So I did those 3, and it looks like there's I have no chance that all 3 hit because also they each like play each other at some point over the next like 3 weeks. So I have I have no chance. It seems more likely than not that all 3 of them are going to miss their miss the over on the win total. So that's a real bummer. That's all right. They're all so disappointing.
Sorry, buddy. I hope they lose to Maryland.
At least I got Oregon, Ohio State.
You
so
got that going for you. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that one was a miss. Hey, Georgia didn't cover the 2.5, but at least they also got their asses kicked.
Jeez.
Carson Beck stinks, man. What happened to him? Like, what happened to him?
Brock Bowers merchant is what they're saying.
God, dude. It's dreadful. Massive win for Lane Kiffin, obviously, who didn't have a good win during his time at Ole Miss. Didn't have anything to hang his hat on. So,
and they were all injured. They were not healthy.
Jackson Dart went down on the first drive of the game. He came back and he looked good. Obviously.
Yeah, he did. But I was like, all right, Jackson Dart's not going to be out there. And then
James Revere, Jeremy, John and Little Rock, and Kyle were on Mississippi, and I don't know. I thought that the primetime Baton Rouge thing was going to hold. I don't know. Maybe
or not.
Maybe the universe.
I guess the rain.
I
I
also don't know if the universe was mad at ESPN for getting the neck chant on national TV multiple times. I can't believe that's just okay. And I'm not a prude. I just can't believe
it's 2024.
I don't think that I'm allowed to do that on the radio station, and that ain't ESPN. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess the one word you can't say.
You definitely can't.
That counts as one of the FCC?
You can't. It's not. The word could be used in other phrases. Like if you said someone's name was Dick,
right?
You could say that, but you can't refer. You can't do
I thought that was what the Tiger's name was.
And
that's why.
Yeah, you can't certainly say suck. You can't. That combination of words. No, not an option. I have no idea. If ESPN just agreed, hey, if we get fined, we'll get a lot of attention out of it. I don't know what the hell was going on. The idea that it was just Pat McAfee going rogue, no. It doesn't work with a corporation like this. Not the way that it works.
McAfee went rogue.
Alabama pounds LSU. Myself, Griffin, John Little Rock, and Ryan Shell were on LSU. Things did turn for me a bit during the NFL slate. I told you Kansas City does not cover big numbers. Now, they did win because they got those horseshoes straight up the ass.
Jeez.
Unbelievable. Denver lining up for a 35-yard. And I swear to God, Griffin, as they were lining up for it, I was like, it's probably going to go the wrong way.
He's just going to
Like,
yank it?
I just knew, like, there's going to be a bad snap, whatever it was, something's going to go wrong. Something's going to go wrong.
Well, they're just better. They were just.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They were just better.
On Denver, myself, Andrew Steck, John in Little Rock, Kyle, Paul, and Ryan.
Sharp on that one.
I've told you, they don't cover big numbers. Their last 6 games have been favored by more than a touchdown. How many games have they covered?
Probably none.
One.
Okay.
One time.
Did they cover?
I don't remember what it was. Don't remember.
Doesn't even matter.
Pittsburgh, Washington. Also, as far as betting, I still think I wanted Pittsburgh to lose. Again, I kind of measure that against the not wanting them pissed off. It is that moment where you realize you're good.
Right.
Is always the moment, right? Because you realize that even if Washington goes down and kicks a field goal, you're still getting it because they were 2.5-point favorites. So you're just like, I'm good. It's a good feeling as a bettor where you're like, nothing to worry about here. Pittsburgh they manage to get Johnny Newton the terrible spot, and then they get Johnny Newton the jump off sides, which is bad. Mike Tomlin wouldn't say after the game whether or not they were actually going for it. I don't think they would have. I think that was the risk of that field position was too significant, but they do run the ball well. It's not impossible they were really going for it there. We'll never know. Andrew, myself, Griffin. Actually, everybody was on Pittsburgh except for James, Joe Serpico, and Kyle Ottenheimer. Only 2 of us were on Tampa Bay because I knew all along that Jake Moody couldn't make a field goal. I knew it. Missed 3 kicks.
Jeez.
3 kicks.
And then he finally made, because he made the
game winner. He did make the. Well, remember Deebo Samuel was fighting the long snapper on the sideline. It was a weird day, man. Christian McCaffrey, not great on the ground, but he did have 6 catches for 65 yards, I want to say.
That sounds right.
On the whole, I think if you played him in fantasy, he got you 16 points. It was still fine. And that's his first game back, so that's a good place to start. San Francisco wins by 3. They do not cover the 5.5. Myself and Joe Serpico, the only ones who stole that point on Tampa. And yet I still didn't go 500 for the week. New York, Arizona was a pick'em. Just missed. They nearly nailed that one. Nearly. Finally, the first time in my life that I've ever believed in Arizona, and it paid off.
When are we going to get a course correction of the New York lines, of the Jets lines? I feel like it's got to be coming.
Well, remember, because they played that second half against the Texans. And so
they were favored in that game, too. So, that was...
But then they looked the part in the second half. People were like, maybe this is the turning point for the Jets. Maybe this is the one game we'll look back on. Not so much. 38-6. And Stecca actually picked the Jets, too, which is the funny part. Myself, Griffin, James, John in Little Rock, Ken Zales, and Kyle were all on Arizona there. Man, what a wild game the Detroit thing was. Jared Goff throws 5 interceptions, and the Texans are just like, yeah, we're good. Why don't you gentlemen go ahead and then there's missing a kick. What Kaimi Fairbairn did on that 58-yarder at the end of the game, that wasn't missing a kick. That was kicking the ball into another city. It wasn't even in the – and he's a hell of a kicker.
Was it he on the right hash and he went to the –
hook to the left.
Yeah.
But I think somebody said the snap was bad too.
I think it was Tarico or
the
Colin
operation was bad in general. That was brutal. I mean,
the hold looked good though. The hold looked like he got it down. I guess.
If it was, I don't know. It was
not a lot of margin for error. 58.
Terrible kick. And with that in mind, Detroit gets the ball back. All they got to do is get a couple of first downs. They do, and they get into field goal range. And I used Bates in a couple of my leagues, and he had 3 points right until
going up
those
into
last 2 kicks. Those last 2
couple
kicks.
Of 58-yarders.
Whew! God bless you, buddy. Saved me. Still, ultimately, Detroit does not cover. They were 3.5-point favorites. They only win by 3. So Griffin steals a point on Houston, as does Jeremy Conn, Joe Serpico, and John in Little Rock. For the week, nobody above 6-3. Everybody was pretty bunched up this week. The high water mark belonged to John in Little Rock. and that's significant as he is now in third place by himself. 5 games back of Ryan Shell at the top of the table. KZ remains 4 games back of the top of the table. The low water mark belonged to John Proctor. Thank you, pal. Gets him back within range for me.
Oh, yeah.
As I make up 1 game on Paul Valley, 2 games on John Proctor, and now I'm a game behind the both of them. A reminder, at the top of the table, playing for a little bit of cash. At the bottom of the table, playing to avoid being the one that's got to come in here and do all this Brazilian stuff. Get a Brazilian.
Do Brazilian stuff.
Get murdered by a Brazilian jiu-jitsu master. Sing Copacabana in Rio and eat that couscous
paulista.
Thank you. It's a sardine fruitcake, which apparently is a thing in Brazil. So that's what's at stake, and that's how it played out for the week in picks. And again, we all just had a miserable day watching football because football's bad. It's just
couple of terrible
stinks.
days watching football, actually.
Miserable days. Like, it was just terrible to sit around and watch football for the last 2 days. Woe is us. I think it's time for us to maybe consider some sort of other hobby because the football is just so ungodly. Just wretched football. All right, hour number 1 of today's show is in the book. Speaking of football, Project Game Day returns this Thursday night. No, sorry, that was last week that it was Thursday night. I'm very tired. Comes back this Sunday, immediately following Baltimore-Pittsburgh. We will be with you, myself, Rita, Femi, KZ, Stetka, all hanging out. We want you to join us. PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay for Project Game Day. It's brought to you by HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Easy Pass, and the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. Come hang out with us for Project Game Day this Sunday following Baltimore-Pittsburgh. So it should be a very exciting week. Real quick, a couple of things from the games that we did not pick. I am not ready to buy into the Chargers yet, but a lot of people are very, it would seem very Ravens-like to, go to Pittsburgh, win that game, and then turn around and lose to John Harbaugh's little brother. That seems like a very Ravens thing. I'm not scared of the Chargers, but they are doing the things that you would expect a Greg Roman team to do. They are running the ball well. Justin Herbert. I think it's the wrong offense for Justin Herbert. It seems like you're wasting Justin Herbert doing this, but they're winning football games, and as they build a program, maybe I don't know. But I did watch some of that yesterday. I'm trying to think of what else I watched. I did not watch. Boy, the Red Zone channel didn't spend much time flipping over to Minnesota-Jacksonville yesterday. Didn't get in on that one very much. 12-7, gross.
Mac Jones scored a touchdown.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that was it.
And God bless the Saturday morning game because we all knew it was a bad game, but
they did their best.
That's exactly how I felt. You entertained me despite being 2 bad football teams. We all were watching, and I was entertained. And Chuba Hubbard had a great game, and Tyrone Tracy had a good game right up until, obviously, the overtime fumble that proved to be the difference. But God love you. We were all up watching football. Thank you for keeping the football interesting for us since we were all watching it anyway, even though you're bad teams. So, yeah, that's all. That's what we got. That's what we got. All right, into hour number 2 of GCR, and coming up a little bit later on this hour, we will catch up with our friend Jeremy Conn. Also, we will go over the 5 plays that told the story of Thursday Night Football and the Ravens win over the Bengals. But before we do any of that, it's Ravens-Steelers week. And obviously every time and this is the most significant Ravens-Steelers game that we've had in years. This man, of course, is synonymous with the modern Steelers from his time as defensive coordinator. He is a legend of the NFL, a Hall of Famer. And speaking of legend, he has a new book out about the 2008 Steelers, a team we don't like thinking about in Baltimore. It's called Legendary. He is the great Dick LeBeau, and he is with us this morning here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's an honor to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us.
I'm happy to be there, and other than the nightmares that Baltimore creates for me, it's a pleasure to talk to you, pal.
Coach, before we get into and those three matchups between the Ravens and Steelers in 2008, I did not know until reading your book. This is not on your Wikipedia page. I didn't realize that you had actually started here in Baltimore, and you were briefly a Baltimore Colt.
Yes, I was. I was released my first year. I was drafted by the Cleveland Browns and went to the last cut. In those days, there were 31 guys on a team, if you will, and only 5 DBs. And I went to the Tuesday of the week before the first game, and they said your services are no longer needed. Well, in those days, you still had the 48-hour claiming period when you went on waivers, and no one claimed me. And I thought, well, hopefully somebody will want me to go on a practice squad, and the Colts did. They called me and wanted me to come over to Baltimore, and they were defending world champions. And I said, well, if you're not going to be on the active roster, you might as well go with the championship team. Maybe you'll get on it. So I did go to Baltimore.
And then obviously ended up with that legendary career in Detroit. Do you, when you were game planning against the Ravens as a coach, did you at all still hold it against our city that we hadn't signed you to the active roster? Were you still like trying to take things out on us when you were preparing for those games over the years?
I never did. No. It was a funny thing. It was a different league then, and I didn't get over there since I didn't get released until Tuesday of the week of the opening game. And one of the other teams that had talked to me was the Detroit Lions. And when I got over to Baltimore, it was Thursday, and I was only there for a couple of days, and things sometimes in your life, things are just destined to happen.
Sure.
The opening game for the Baltimore Colts that year, that's what they were called at that time, was the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
And we were playing in Baltimore. So they just put me in a room in the house, and I went to practice on Friday and went to a meeting on Saturday and came to the game on Sunday and had a ticket, and I was on the sideline. And I had a good acquaintance that I went to college with, Howard Hopalong Cassidy, was playing for the Lions. And he said that the Lions were real mad at him for not getting me to go over there in Detroit. And I said, well, I haven't really talked to anybody here in Baltimore. They haven't seen they gave me a room to sleep in and a ticket for the game. So that's how I ended up going to Detroit. And it's a different time. I suppose people in management would turn over in their bed if they heard that story.
Well,
but it was a different game. I would have been happy to be a Baltimore Colt the rest of my career, but I have no complaints about going back to Detroit and playing for them.
I get it. Dick LeBeau, the book is legendary. We're going to link it up on our Twitter account, @GlennClarkRadio, for you to check it out. Coach, look, we are now 16 years removed, so I ask if you're willing to be the one to stand up and say definitively that you know damn well Santonio Holmes did not cross the goal line on that catch at the end of the regular season in Baltimore in 2008. You know that you guys didn't earn that one. You're willing now to stand up and say that it was incorrect, correct?
Oh, no, that's very, very incorrect, my good friend. In writing the book, one of my preparations, I got the video of every one of our games that year, and we actually played you guys 3 times a year. You know,
I was there for all 3.
It was 23-20 the first game.
Yep.
Decided in the last, very, very last portion of the game. It was 13-9 in the second game, so it leapt all the way from a 3-point win to a 4-point win, and then the last one was 23-14. But if you remember, you guys had the ball driving with the go-ahead score. We were only 2 points ahead with about 2 minutes to go in the game, and Troy stepped in there and intercepted that ball. So it was really a 2-point game, a 3-point game, and a 4-point game, which is usually the way the Baltimore Steeler games were. So for us to have gotten by you guys 3 times in 1 year, it's almost miraculous, really, because both teams were so good and so similar. And I looked at that play in getting ready to write the book. There was no doubt he was in the end zone.
Oh, yeah, he was in the end zone. The ball wasn't in the end zone. The ball was at.
It was.
All right.
Well, you know, I'm not the one to be asking this because even today, and they have so much of the instant replay now, you know, and you get all these different shots and everything. And when I was coaching, this was true. It's definitely true now. Whatever I think it's going to be called in the final resolution, it's always
yeah, right. 100%. None of us know. We're all just guessing. You're right about that, Coach. Coach, I wondered, and I wanted to ask you that. Just when I say Ravens Steelers, right? Like what? And I know that the game is not what the game was, you know, at the height of the Ravens Steelers rivalry, but this is still Ravens Steelers week, and this is going to be a great. You know, these two teams are playing for first place in the division the way the good Lord intended. Coming up this Sunday. What does Ravens Steelers mean to you, Coach?
Oh, it's special. It's special. You see, my 14 years of playing was in the division with the Bears and the Lions and Green Bay and Minnesota. And it was called the Black and Blue Division. And every contest was a physical, gut-wrenching battle. Period. Well, the closest thing I've seen to those career games, and probably exceeding them because the athletes are faster and bigger now, was those Baltimore Steeler games right through that era that we're talking about. And it has really continued. Time marches on, of course. But this year is kind of a throwback in that the two teams are locked at the top of the division again, which they always were. And it's just a great, great rivalry. And each game, I would venture to say, is going to come down to the fourth quarter, probably the last possession.
That's usually how it works. Look, I know it's going to be tough for Ravens fans to want to read about the 2008 Pittsburgh Steelers. That's going to be a tough push, but we're going to plug it anyway, and we also know that Steelers fans are like cockroaches. They're everywhere. Unfortunately, we even still have some of them here. I don't know how that works out, but we see them every time the Steelers come to Baltimore, so we want to make sure you guys pick up the book as well. I wonder, Coach, you know, if you could shed some light, because here Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, all these years later, they're still the guys in charge of these franchises. Do you have a sense, dating back to that 2008 game, that was John Harbaugh's first year, what has made these two coaches so special and how they've been able to sustain for so long as head coaches in the NFL?
Well, I think that word that you used is a perfect adjective. They're special. They're special people, and they have a special gift, and it's been evidenced with their success. And I think these two guys would have been a success wherever they went. I have the utmost respect for Coach Harbaugh. He does a great job. And Coach Tomlin, of course, his record speaks for itself. And they're just two guys that are talented people. I think whether they would have chosen analytics or career in broadcasting, whatever it had been, they would have been successful people, and that's how our society identifies people. When they can do something, they're rewarded, and both of those coaches have been rewarded. I don't know how many times you're going to see two guys like that in the same division that last as long as those two have. Our profession is a very competitive and a difficult one to maintain that kind of longevity. So I salute both of them. I really have the utmost respect for both men.
Coach Dick LeBeau, I know you're a busy man talking about the book Legendary today. Again, check it out on our Twitter at Glenn Clark Radio. A pleasure to spend time with you this morning. Obviously, we'll be pulling for the other side of this on Sunday, but we really enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. It's going to be a great game, man.
No doubt. No doubt. Thank you, Coach. Coach Dick LeBeau with us here on GCR as we kick off Ravens-Steelers week this week. And we'll be doing lots of Ravens-Steelers stuff throughout the course of the week. Some weeks, it's funny. It will easily pointed out that in the last, since the turn of the decade, in the 2020s, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 7-1 against the Baltimore Ravens. But like all of us that have been living and breathing it know how absurd that is. Wednesday afternoon football, with half the Ravens team having COVID, the number of times the games didn't mean anything for the Ravens because they had already locked things up. Or when they were starting another backup quarterback because Lamar Jackson wasn't available. And I know that there have been things on the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't have a quarterback for much of that time period. This feels like the first real Ravens-Steelers game of the decade, which doesn't give a pass to what happened in Pittsburgh last year. Like, that was shameful. Embarrassing that the Baltimore Ravens just didn't catch the football. Just laughable. And there's a weird subplot to this week, which is, of course, that Lamar Jackson has played well against the Steelers. Remember, in that game last year, he was like the highest-graded quarterback in the league, according to PFF, for the week. He just, again, none of his receivers bothered to catch the football. He's played well against the Steelers, and he's beaten the Steelers. But he's never played well in a game where he beat the Steelers. There is no definitive Lamar Jackson moment in the history of the Ravens-Steelers rivalry. Here's the opportunity to change that. And again, most of that is anomaly. The mouth-breathing Steelers fans who want to be like, oh, we got Lamar Jackson's number. That's not it. That's not it. It's anomaly more than anything else. The nature of the games, who they mattered for, who they didn't matter for, who was playing, who wasn't playing. And then a day where no Ravens receiver had any interest in catching the football. They would want to rewrite history. That's not been the case. But what is true is that Lamar Jackson is not part of Ravens-Steelers lore. He has no chapter yet. This is the opportunity for him to change that coming up this Sunday. I'm writing about today at PressBoxOnline.com. I don't know if it's already up yet or not. It feels like it's 3 in the afternoon for me. I would assume. Yeah, it's up. I led on to this last Friday, but I'm kind of over the obsession with the defense, which isn't to say that I don't have concerns about the defense. I do. I just said I'm worried about Brandon Stevens one-on-one downfield with Jordan Pickens while Russell Wilson tosses a moonball up to him. That is concerning. Like, has to be. But it's driving our conversation. We can't talk about the Ravens. We had some friends over on Saturday night, some of the kids' friends and their parents. You can't bring up the Ravens without the conversation immediately moving to, oh, the defense is a disaster. And, I feel like we're missing the plot. The story of the Ravens is you're watching a generational, beyond generational, maybe once in a lifetime. You're watching Jimi Hendrix play his guitar at Woodstock. Or Steph Curry at the end of the gold medal game in the Olympics. You're watching that every week. That's the plot. And it's why I believe the Ravens can beat every team in the NFL. which doesn't mean that they will. And Lamar Jackson has to do it against the Steelers, which, due to anomaly, he just hasn't yet. And I get that it's awfully deep into, like, how could you be in the 7th season of your career and not, it's the circumstances. Some of this is the fault of the NFL for ever putting Ravens Steelers in Week 18 or previously Week 17, which was bull S. Nonsense. That you would ever put a marquee game that stands up no matter what's going on in a spot where it just might not matter for one of the teams or both. Stupid. Stupid. So some of it's on the NFL. Some of it's on, like, you know, Lamar played poorly, and ironically, in that game that he won in Pittsburgh in 2019. He didn't play well. It was one of his worst, probably his worst game ever as a pro. But they won. Go figure. Mostly it's on anomaly. But the Lamar Jackson effect, you can't get me to obsess about the defense more than I'm obsessed about watching Lamar Jackson. I won't do it. I'm obsessed. I'm watching freaking Da Vinci, and you want me to care more about like whether or not the Sistine Chapel is going to be able to sustain years of water damage. Dude, I'm watching an artist. You just miss me on this, which doesn't mean it doesn't exist, or just think that we're missing the plot, or we're spoiled because, you know, we've watched Lamar Jackson win 2 MVP awards and we're just like, oh, ho hum. He's better than that. We've never seen anything like this. We're going to have to talk about, if this continues, where this stands amongst the greatest seasons in the history of any individual athlete in Baltimore sports history. Because it's like this and that 1 year Frank Robinson had, and that's like it. I guess if you go to the Baltimore Bullets, I think Wes Unseld was MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same season. That stands out, but like, it's insanity. So I wrote about that today, and it has to do with Fleetwood Mac. It's a whole thing. You got to go read it. PressBoxOnline.com.
Fleetwood Mac reference?
Yeah,
All right.
a lot of Fleetwood Mac in this.
Maybe this time I'll
now that it involves, now you'll finally read something that I wrote. That's nice of you. Appreciate you considering that, Griff. It's a strong sacrifice that you're willing to make.
Yeah, I can do it.
To be willing to read something that I wrote. Yeah. All right. What am I doing here? I got to tell everybody about. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Remind me whenever I have to do the morning show over there to, like, figure out a way to take today off.
Okay.
There was no football game yesterday, and the football sucked.
Yeah, that's right. Football's bad.
Why did I need to be in here to talk about it? Well, we get to talk to Dick LeBeau. That was neat. Joe Unitas. I enjoyed that. Today's show also brought to you by County Sports Zone. Into playoff season. The playoffs are actually, like, fully underway at the public school level. So you want all the updates, all the scores, the schedules, want to know what's going on, what the big games are, everything that you could possibly need to know, and then we'll transition into winter sports season for every sport, every school, every team, every level, all over the state. It's PressBoxOnline.com. No, it's not. See, that's what happens when it's CountySports.zone. This one's going in the books. This one.
We're almost there.
Write this
almost
one
to
down.
the finish line.
Are we? Tell Jeremy I need him to do all the lifting. Tell Jeremy that I need him to do
Jeremy, you're hosting the segment,
all
okay?
the lifting. Well, he'd have to do his show today. Least he could do is take care of my show. I did his show. CountySports.zone is the website. What?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, finish.
Sorry. CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. What?
People are saying you're getting soft, you know.
Who's saying I'm soft?
Can't do 5 hours of radio.
Let me see what they have to. I swear to God, some guy who's got a fake Twitter that's like, I guess, part of the army of whoever this dude is that made this video, said, looks like it's 66 and sunny in Baltimore today, Glenn. Touch some grass. Will do you some good. I want you to see what this guy's profile picture and identity is. It's some Disney thing. Like, he's not real. This human told me to touch some grass today.
I don't know. That might have been a good show. I don't recognize.
I don't know what
I don't recognize that show.
I don't know what it was. But what I know is that person is not.
It was a Disney movie.
Whatever it was. This is the definition of the internet. Some guy who is in no way connected to reality says, I need to go touch some grass.
So that is the name of the leader of a group of inline skaters who disapprove of corporate sponsorship. Believing that skating should be done for fun rather than profit.
Cool. So anyway,
so he takes them down, I guess.
So anyway,
in this 1998 film.
That's the reality that I'm dealing with today. That's what I've got going for me. Jeremy Conn will join us next. We'll talk about I don't know how football stinks now. That's coming up. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Millette, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Millette Show. We'll be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. The Arthur Millette Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
The next Arthur Millette Show is Tuesday, November 12th at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. It's brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER and Easy Pass.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
Hey, no Stan Ross Luke today. They're going to pause for a little bit. Hopefully, what's the guy's name? The Japanese pitcher that Roki Sasaki.
Roki Sasaki.
Hopefully, they'll be doing a show later this week to talk about how the Orioles signed Roki Sasaki. As
sweet, I'm in.
There's a limit. Do the Orioles have more international money than the Dodgers? Well, I was trying to understand that. Like, it's negligible. It's one way or the other. The Orioles have more than almost anyone, and maybe everyone but the Dodgers, but also maybe everyone including the Dodgers. I was trying to figure that out because apparently there's a complicated explanation that's not simplistic, and I didn't realize that. But like they are well positioned to try to land Roki Sasaki because he can only be signed with international money, not as a true free agent. So just keep that in mind, and hopefully that's what they'll be getting together to talk about. Stan will be doing some other shows, some various one-off shows in the coming weeks as well, and you'll always be able to check them out. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. All right. From Dan. Dan says, Glenn, yesterday was the best day of my life. I sat down on my couch at 9:30. Other than a couple of times where I got up to go to the bathroom, it was just joy. Football and joy. I lost bets. I lost fantasy. Still pure joy. May there be a million more like them. Yes. I mean, maybe get off your couch for other things, too. Like, that might be a bit much. Like, even I think that's over the top. Like, I did go to the gym, and I did... My son had a friend over, and we played a little bit. Like, even I was doing some other things during the course of the day. But, yes, just sitting around and watching football and watching the Red Zone channel all day, it's wonderful. A wonderful way to spend your day. This man is enjoying his holiday. He is, of course, our friend, Jeremy Conn, host of the Big Bad Morning Show, 105.7 The Fan. ConcreteLocks.com. What's going on with you, dude? How are you?
I'm good, man. I was told they convinced a couple of losers to come in for us this morning, so we got the day off.
What kind of marks are like, hey, go in and work on, and then I got to do my show too? I feel like the trade-off should be that if I do your show, you got to come over and do this one. That's got to happen.
Well, this just shows how much you appreciate veterans, way more than us, than we ever could.
Yes,
so.
We actually love our servicemen and women. Unlike you, take the day off and go do nothing and just jack it all day. My show.
You just interrupted it. I was on session 4.
Sorry. My show is derailed. This show is derailed before it began because I don't know how. There's this video that some guy made. It's somebody in the betting world, it appears, that is just going on about how like football stinks now and how like the guy's name is the DGen Weekly. That's his name. Okay. And it came into my like orbit because all these people are retweeting it and like talking about how like this guy might be onto something about like football stinks. And it's just so hipster and so desperate for attention for me. Like, everybody in this city didn't have to worry about the Ravens and got to sit around and watch football yesterday. And were they all classic games? No. But it was joy because we love the sport. And it's just like the lowest common denominator thing to be like, I think the NFL kind of low-key sucks. Really? Why is the entire country watching? We all woke up in the morning to watch the worst teams in the league play football.
Yep.
Terrible. And we were entertained by it. It's just...
Then you got MGK at halftime. That was awesome.
I mean, who can ask for anything more? I mean, they actually delayed the start of the second half because it took them a little while to clean up the stage. And you know what? I say give MGK all the time he needs. Like
give any of the GKs, any of them.
Yes.
I mean, look.
I was a UGK man. He gave us International Players Anthem, and I will be eternally grateful for that.
Well, I guess, like, to your point about this, I feel like it's so contrarian to sit here and try to crap all over the NFL. I mean, I've been saying for years that I think eventually the expansion of the league, not only by teams, by length, also now playing in all these different countries and going all over the damn place and spreading it out, making these – I think you start to water down the sport. I think we're still seeing some of that this year. As you look, there's just really bad teams. But at the same extent, people still want to watch it. Like, it's the number one sport in this country for a reason. So I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Well, I wouldn't disagree that I haven't liked it as much this year, but that has more to do with my picks than anything.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Yes, that's exactly where you're at. And I think, in my heart of hearts, I think that's what this guy's problem is. He's mad about a bet yesterday, and he was just like, I'm going to make a video. Well, and like,
so I'll tell you what guys are talking about, like in like my circles.
Yeah.
Like, I had somebody send me a message yesterday. It's like, what is the league doing? How do they keep making the Cowboys an underdog by such a small margin? And I'm going, I get it, man. But like, there's a reason why the algorithm they use spits out the numbers that they have. Like, for example, looking at yesterday's game, the Jets started off favored over Arizona. I was all over the Jets. Didn't work out. Right. I was all over the Giants yesterday morning. Wait, the team with the the most sacks in the league is going up with a team that just gives up sacks and has a young quarterback and just traded 2 of their wide receivers this week, so they got to figure that out. Oh, no problem. They'll just win it in overtime. Right. It has been really weird, the Chiefs blocking a field goal that's going to cause them to lose the game. And there's excitement in that, but I don't know. I think for a lot of gamblers, they're looking at this going where we'd all used to say that looks too easy, we're going the other way, or we're staying away from it, to where now it looks too easy, and it might actually be that easy, which is kind of a silly thing to say. But
it might actually be that easy for sure. But I also think that's the part. So this guy actually followed up with me because I dunked on him on the internet. So he followed up with me, and he's like, there were 3 4 o'clock games, and they all stunk. And I said, they weren't close, right? Like, that's what you're saying, is that the scores weren't terribly close. And look, the Tennessee game ended up being a 10-point game, right? But, I agree that was kind of deceptive. They scored a late touchdown. It wasn't quite as close as the score indicated.
Yeah, I had the under in that one. Thanks a lot, Tennessee.
Oh, that's rough.
Touchdown with 58 seconds left because it doesn't matter.
That's rough.
Yeah.
But the point that I made was I was wildly entertained by watching Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. I can't be babied to I can only enjoy the NFL if all of the games are close, right? Like, if that's where you are, then you want to watch professional wrestling. Like, that's what you're just watching the wrong thing. If you need predetermined outcomes to say, hey, we guarantee all of these games are going to be close, then you just need to pick something else. What I appreciate is that when all of these dipshits continue to suggest that the games are rigged, the 4 o'clock window is proof that that's not a thing. Because if they could rig any of the games, it would be the ones that everybody's watching in a national TV window. They wouldn't say, let's rig the game nobody's watching at 1 o'clock, but let's not rig the games that everyone's watching at 4 o'clock. It's the proof that what you're seeing is legitimate competition. Now, I get it. We're always going to complain. The Cowboys shouldn't be in national TV as often as they are. We all know that. We know that they missed the spot in the Washington game by a legit yard, went and looked at it, and still missed it by a legit yard. There are plenty of individual things I can complain about. But if it's that you need all of the games to be one-possession games with 1 minute left, you need to watch the WWE. That's the thing for you, not this.
Yeah, but to be fair, the refs in the WWE are terrible. They never see when a guy has a foreign object. Right? I mean, they're always getting dragged out of the ring, paying attention
every
to a
time there's a distraction somewhere, they so easily bite.
Yeah. No, but the one issue I have, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, and I'd be more apt to believe none of them than all of them.
Right.
But I do think there's a couple things that are out there that, if you believe in one thing, this happened or that happened, I get it. But it's the people that believe in every one of them. Oh, there's wolfmen outside? Sure there are. All these things that are going on. And it's kind of crazy. So now, in the NFL, especially with sports bettors, everything's rigged. That guy got hurt in the first quarter. This is rigged. I want my money back. Yep. There's all kinds of things that sometimes it's just bad luck. Sometimes it's a bad pick. There's so many things that could happen. But the thing that frustrates me now, and I hope you understand what I'm saying here, is they have been doing the call down from the booth and changing calls on the field as we go along. They're not doing it for every call, but they're doing it for a few. You can see when they're so-called huddling up, and it's like, oh, no, they got the spot wrong. The ref down the line points at the spot, it's a catch, it's here, and then all of a sudden somebody says, no, it's not a catch, and then we change it. If they're not going to do it the whole time, I don't think you can pick when you do it.
So this is interesting to me, Jeremy, because I have said for a long time that I do inherently believe it's nonsense for the coaches to have to officiate the games, right? I think it's absolutely absurd, and I'm not trying to defend John Harbaugh, because there will be no defense of throwing a challenge flag for 2nd and goal from the 5 versus 2nd and goal from the 2.5. His argument after the game, well, it's a lot different to defend the 5. Well, maybe if it was 3rd down, it still would be a bad call, but I could at least listen to your argument, right? Now you only need to stop one play from the 5. And first of all, you were never getting that play overturned. So, whatever. I'm not defending John Harbaugh, but it is absurd that the coach has to decide, I think you got this wrong, but in order for me to get it right, I now have to risk maybe not having a timeout at the end of the half when I get the ball back with 30 seconds left, and I'd like for my team to be able to score 3 more points. That's nonsense that we ever accepted that. Instead of just saying, they've got all the angles. They have the ability to say, hey, whoa, hold up. We just got to look at it and make sure we get it right. They have the ability to officiate the games. Your point, we're seeing it. They have the ability to acknowledge this is very difficult to do. There are things you're not going to see on the field or that you think you saw and your mind deceived you. We've got the ability to fix it. Let's let them officiate the games. And to your point, do it whenever there's a play that we're not sure about. Just get it right. We're not running away.
To your point, too, like the other thing that's frustrating about this is, they'll sit here and go to New York and say, hey, they didn't have all the camera angles that you guys had. Well, why do I have more at home? Like, are there cameras just set up for me on the television and not for them? And even watching games now when we clearly see a pass interference or something, and I know fans are biased. There were fans screaming about pass interference or the holding call in the end zone last week, and I'm going, come on, guys. It's obvious that he was grabbing him. I mean, it's Jamar Chase. Everybody grabs the freaking guy. So, but like all of that aside, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly with you. Like, if you're going to do this, you can have the eye in the sky, tell them what's going on the entire time, and there's time for it. I understand they're making calls, but what about coaches that don't have any challenges left that end up using a timeout just so they look at it longer in hopes that they take a look and go, yeah, we got that wrong. I mean, there's all kinds of things right now that are wrong with the game, but it's still, as you were pointing out earlier, the number one sport in the U.S., and we're all going to continue to watch it no matter how upset we get.
The crazy part to me is when somebody tells me, like, well, now the games will be too long. I'm like, college games are 5 hours long. Like, the college games, they have to air entire other games on ESPN News because they never get the chance to kick off on the network they were supposed to start on because the 12 o'clock game went until 6:30. And you know what we do? We watch them. We watch all of them because we only get 4 months out of football. Imagine thinking that we're going to be you know what we can't do? We can't get the plays right because then the games might take a little bit longer and people don't want, for F's sake. Baseball was the sport that needed the games to be shorter because they play 162 of them.
It's so funny you're saying all this because we've had these conversations on air, off the air about when you look at the sports, like so many people that have football eyes on baseball where it's a long season, it's a knee-jerk reaction every time something goes wrong. Not saying that ultimately you're not right early, but you need more data to show that it's this or that. With the same thing in the NFL, it's like because you only get it once a week and you're going to get it for maybe 17 weeks, depending on how your team does, like everybody is so animated and up in arms each week about what happens. Like I'm kind of glad that, I mean, look, I root for the Ravens. I'm kind of glad that I don't have a team that I live and die by just because I'm upset when they lose, but I'm not going to go in my shower and cry and film me doing it or something or bash my TV.
But you have lots of other things that you go in your shower and cry about. Like, let's be fair.
Yeah, I cry to bait every day.
It's just part of the Tuesday routine in the Conn household.
We call that Johnson and Johnson.
Somebody
there were no tears.
Right? Says,
no,
hey,
but
is Jeremy available? And they're like, no, it's Tuesday. You're gonna have to leave.
He's back there pumping off again.
He needs his me time. He needs his me
God,
time.
Man.
I don't even know what I care about. Oh, I need $20 from you. It's a whole thing. We gotta. Griffin reminded me. We gotta do an NBA Cup pool. All right.
Okay.
So I need you to be in. It's $20. Half of it goes to helping up mission. The other half will go to the winner. And I need you to you can have the first number. How many teams are in the NBA, Griffin?
There are 30. Yes.
So I need a number between 1 and 15 is what I need from him.
Yeah.
Give me a number between.
Well, are we gonna do it this way, or is that does that allow it to be rigged, or do we randomize the pairings already?
Yeah, that's what I want is them randomized. Did you just give me?
You just randomize everything.
I didn't randomize
cool
them, yes.
I trust you guys, except during soccer. You know how that goes.
Oh, what are you doing?
Is there
a
penalty for this?
Have you? No penalty. This is just a
charity.
win. This is for charity. We're just trying to take care of helping
The
up.
penalty is giving to charity?
Correct.
Are you
That's
kidding
the
me?
penalty. It's awful. How dare you?
I don't have to eat like a homeless guy's ass or something? Like, what's the deal?
Now, wait a second. You don't have to. That doesn't
I just do that because
some of us, it's the love of the game. All right.
You put your arms behind your back and you eat it like you're in a pie eating contest, for crying out loud.
What happened to this?
Go ahead.
What happened to us? What is
the NBA Cup? Is that what we're?
Yes, we're doing this stupid NBA Cup, which is the dumbest thing ever, but they're doing it anyway. And like, there are people that are willing to carry their water and talk. How funny is it the NBA introduced this thing? And everybody on the planet was like, yeah, this is nothing. And then they just forced all of their partners to be like, no, you have to pretend like it's a thing. So all of their partners bought into the idea. It's like European soccer. It's nothing like European soccer. There is no competition in European soccer where they say, hey, that Premier League that you play in, 5 of those games are going to matter more, and we're going to give a fake trophy for 5 of those games. There is nothing like that exists in European soccer, and they just kept brainlessly repeating it on all these partner networks. Well, you know what's great about this is it's an awful lot like European soccer. No, it's not. It's
funny to
like
me because
that.
like I care about it because it's the NBA. Like I could give two craps that somebody wins at the end. I do like that they kind of eliminate it and turn it into a smaller tournament, like 4 teams and these 2 teams are playing, and if they I like that at the end, but I don't need all this build up.
But they're not.
I would like it if they
anything.
didn't give away.
It was so embarrassing that they made the Lakers put a banner up last. I don't feel bad for the Lakers. The Lakers are the team that we always clown. It's like the Yankees and Notre Dame and all that stuff. You get joy from making fun of the Lakers. But the NBA forced them to put a banner up. The Lakers said, no, we're not doing that. We're not going to sully ourselves. We are a franchise that has won many, many championships and that fake thing that happened in the bubble a few years back.
I was going to say, what if we put up posters in the bathroom? Does that
right?
suffice?
That should handle it. And the NBA said, no, you have to. And so these poor sons of bitches had to put a banner up next to their actual championship banners like they had won something.
I hope they win it again now.
God. Yeah, maybe they have to
do
put
they just
all
put
of them
2 time on the one banner, or do they have to put up a second banner?
The AFC finalist banner in Indianapolis is less embarrassing. It's because that's a thing. This is
why didn't
nothing.
the NFL make us hold up preseason champions for
right?
4 straight years? We should have had that all over the place.
100%. It's so dumb. I get that they are NBA regular season games. They do, other than the championship is not even a real game. It's meaningless.
The thing that everybody talked about most were how ugly the courts were.
Yeah, that was way over. By the way, if this is a straight shoot, if someone broke Will Chamberlain's record, if LeBron James scored 102 points in the NBA Cup championship game, you know what the NBA single game record would be for scoring? Wilt
100.
Chamberlain's record.
That's how important these games are.
So stupid.
It's trying to create
dumb.
something where there's nothing there, and
Right.
I get it. I like the fact that they're being forward thinking. If they all of a sudden came out and said, "Hey, we're putting in a 4-point line," as a basketball fan, I'm going, "That's crazy," but I don't know where this game goes to.
What did you make? I'm assuming you heard what Shaq said last week, right?
Which time?
Shaq went right. That's a good point. Shaq went off about how the 3-point line and really the evolution, the Steph Curry evolution of basketball has hurt the NBA. He was asked about the fact that ratings were down for the opening week of the season. I guess he was on. Maybe he does a podcast or he was on somebody else's podcast. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
I think he does one now.
I mean, everybody does. So let's be fair, right?
Yeah.
Sure. So he was asked about the fact that the ratings were down for the first week of the NBA season, which okay, fine. I don't know how anybody ever really is invested in the NBA regular season ever, but whatever. I get they have TV partners and they.
I am because I grew up on it, and it just feels like I love watching basketball.
I couldn't. I feel like the NBA can't admit out loud the thing that we know about baseball, which is that baseball became a regional sport. Baseball teams matter. In their city, baseball teams matter significantly. But outside it, unless you're somebody who cares deeply and bets on the games, you can't name 3 players that play on the other teams. We all want this to be like football, but we understand why football works because they only play one game. We all pay attention.
I'm not sure people could name 3 players on the Wizards now. So
no one could. The Wizard players can't name 3 players on their team. They're well, there's the French guy, and then the.
Oh, what happened to the Lithuanian guy? Oh, we traded him to Portland. Oh, what happened?
Yeah, he was good, wasn't he? Yeah, that's the problem.
Or Latvian. I can't remember which one he is.
He was Israeli.
But I know I'm in the minority here, with my feelings on basketball and how it's been entrenched in my life, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But it is something too where these leagues have to look themselves honestly in the face and say, okay, what changed? And I understand from Shaq's viewpoint. I do think Steph Curry made the game better and worse at the same time. Because now there's so many people trying to be Steph Curry that we just get all these
and they aren't
3
Steph
points
Curry.
and dunks.
And he's right about that point. But I do think that the natural outcome thing, this was always going to be like the baseball problem with walk strikeouts and home runs. The analytics people are going to be able to do the math and say there's just not value. You don't hit enough mid-range jumpers to outweigh the value of shooting for an extra point 5 feet behind that. Like it's
one of the reasons when DeMar DeRozan hits free agency, everybody doesn't clamor to go sign him. Like he'll get a good deal because they're overpaying everyone, and he's an unbelievable player. But he's an inside the paint player. He tried to start shooting threes here more recently, but that's who he's been. And there's a lot of guys like that. So, but they don't cut it in the NBA. Usually they have to go overseas and play.
100%. Like, and I think he's got a point to some extent because I do think the game has changed, but I don't know that it's, again, like, and he wasn't even trying to go after Steph Curry because he's like, Steph Curry's amazing, and we all want to watch Steph. When Steph Curry plays, if I got nothing else going on, I'll sit and watch. They played against Boston last week. I don't give a rat's ass about either one of those teams. I was enthralled, right? Because it was a high-level game.
And then Boston just slam dunked their heads, right? Or no?
No, that was the game. That's the game the Warriors won.
Oh, it was Cleveland
Boston,
that just baptized them and beat them by like 40.
Yep, 100%. But this was great. It was great television, and I'll watch it. But I think the problem that they can't deal with, in the NBA wants to be the NFL and doesn't understand that's not possible. You can't do that. You've got to matter significantly in your market. And part of the problem for me is we don't have a team, right? And like even for the people that live in Anne Arundel County that like would be inclined to be Wizards fans, the Wizards are garbage. Like the Wizards don't matter in their market. Like they don't exist within their market. But that's the part they can't say that out loud because it would be bad business, but it's worked dramatically for baseball. In in every market, the baseball team matters. Baseball doesn't. We're not glued to the Sunday night baseball game on ESPN. It's not going to ever be a ratings driver. We're not ever going to be tuned in for Fox Saturday Night Baseball. But in the market that you're in, you're watching every game. The teams matter. You are living and dying. Even the Orioles stunk. Their ratings on TV were great because it's part of the fabric of the community. And that, to me, is the NBA answer, which is you can't change the game. You can't force it to go back to big men. And like you're past that.
I mean, you can't. Yeah, you cannot force the hand to all of a sudden say we're going to change this unless they did something where if they made it, if it's inside the 3 and outside of the box, the lane. Maybe we make that worth 3 points, and behind the line is worth 2.
4.
Maybe guys would shoot less threes.
Yeah, I mean,
no.
Like
go ahead.
I don't want to change that. Like the thing that I like about what baseball's done for the betterment of the product is that while people complain about certain aspects, it hasn't been the stolen base thing is the only one that I would say. Like it was a little bit over the top this year, reacting to Shohei Ohtani stolen base numbers and not saying out loud, well, hey, we also have to recognize that stolen bases aren't anything like what stolen bases were 10 years ago. It's a completely different thing. And it doesn't mean that Shohei Ohtani wasn't still better at it than other people were, that Ronald Acuna the year before wasn't still better at it even in this context, but trying to compare it historically is nonsense. Like, if Ricky Henderson played with these rules, he might steal 1,000 bases in a season.
Yeah, to your point, though, too, and it's every time we sit here and champion what someone's doing, like, I'll give you the Russell Westbrook averaging a triple-double for a season. Like, oh, my God, nobody's done this since Oscar Robertson. And now we've had a couple of guys do it in the league.
Right.
So is it just something now? Because that's why I tell people, like, I'm a Larry Bird truther. If he played in today's game, he'd average 45 or 50 a game. Like, it's ridiculous that the way the rules are enforced in the NBA to allow for more scoring right now. So, like, the guys in those older games, but I don't think you can try to change all that back. And to your point, what you're talking about with the league and some of the different things they could try or do, I mean, I don't know that there's anything there. I think you could move the three-point line back further, but does it matter? Because Lonzo Ball, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I can name probably 10 other guys that can shoot from the logo and make it.
And they prefer
and
to.
they do.
Right. Like they're in fact, I think they probably hate it because then they'd probably be defended out to the logo at that point. Like,
make the hoop smaller, maybe it's like.
I don't think it requires that. I just think it requires a more of an investment with the local community. The NFL can get away with it. Like NFL team, I'm not trying to jump on the Ravens, right? But like the Ravens can get away from it because their brand is strong. They don't have they do a good job in the local community. I think they could do a better job from a touch standpoint. Like I'm not trying to say they don't do good. Like they do.
I mean, Poe's working his ass off.
Great point.
I mean, maybe not the players, but Poe's out there.
Like I think they do a good job with like their community programs and like taking care and giving books to schools. I think they do a great job with that stuff. But like living and breathing so that people can connect and interact with the Ravens on a day-to-day basis in this community, I don't think they do a great job with that. That's my opinion, right? But they can get away with it because they're a national brand. Like, they don't have to do it on a day-to-day basis because people care about the Baltimore Ravens in Sheboygan and in Missoula and in Lyon, right? Like, they can do that stuff.
So I'd say this too, like, when you get, even if you're in a small town or a small city, and you get that superstar there, I think it can change everything from that standpoint of becoming a national.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Kansas City getting Pat Mahomes, and I'm not saying Kansas City's a tiny city or whatever. I mean, it's still probably middle of the pack, but they're on the map now because of him, and they're going to be on there as long as he stays there. The Wizards, if they end up with Cooper Flagg and they win that sweepstakes, like, that could definitely change their output of how people look at him if this kid pans out to be what they think he's going to be. So sometimes it's star-driven in each particular sport, but yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. And the one thing, just going back to what you were saying, like, I think basketball, it's so odd because it's the one sport where you don't need anyone else. Like, you really don't. Like, I mean, I guess you could go play golf by yourself,
right?
But when you're working out and you're trying to get better playing basketball, you're by yourself.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point, pal. All right, Griffin, did you randomize everything? Are we ready?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Are you serious? I wanted to do this.
Okay.
Is everybody getting 2 teams, or
yes,
how's
you
this
get
work?
2 teams. You get one team from the top. The way that it works is you're supposed to get a corresponding team. So if you get the team with, like, the 4th best odds, you would also get the team with the 4th worst odds, right? Like,
okay.
That would be the way that it would work. I just don't want you to say the number 4 so you get the team. I want you to say I want to take those pairs and then randomize them so that you don't know if you're getting the team with the 4th and the 27th or if you're getting the teams with the 15th and 16th best odds, right? Like, do you get what I'm saying? And this,
no, that's cool. I was just curious how you were doing it because last time you cheated me.
I did.
So
I did cheat it. But you still also haven't consumed your mayo dogs yet. So
we haven't. We got to set it up. I will consume my mayo dogs.
Would you like me to prepare the mayo, or were you
No,
intending to?
No, you're not. You're not preparing it because I look like one of. You ever see the videos online of the guy that's like he's got ranch for his pizza, then he sticks his whole arm in it, and then he sprays himself.
I know.
It just pans out, and he's covered in ranch.
I know
because that's how I imagine my wieners would look.
Oh God, you could only hope. All right, so yeah, this is the way it's going to work. I need other people to sign up to get in, and we got to start because these games apparently start tomorrow night. So I need to fill this. We need 15 people total, but the 3 of us will all be in. So we really need 12 people. $20, very simple, and it couldn't be easier. Did we do this just winner take all, like whoever wins the tournament?
I'm pretty sure that's what
okay. Whoever's team wins the tournament gets the cash. It's $150, and then $150 goes towards buying toiletries and underwear and things that people need for the folks at the Helping Up mission. Capiche? Got it? So, Jeremy, you kick us off. Give us a number between 1 and 15.
I'll take 2.
Okay. Griffin?
I think I had, 2 is, you have the Dallas Mavericks and the Detroit Pistons.
Dallas Mavericks and the Detroit Pistons.
I actually like both of those teams.
Seems like, where are the Mavericks odds for this? This is the problem,
16-1.
Because we know the Lakers aren't good, but yet they won this thing. Like, maybe you can win this thing despite not being good.
It's not good that I got Dallas, actually, because, the oddity of some of these things is, and again, understanding if guys want to win that money, if it matters to them, is that there's a lot of players in this league. Like, Luka and Jokic are 2 terrible all-star game players because they don't care about the game. And by the way, Luka's got a groin injury now, too, so that may end up screwing me. But I got the Pistons, baby.
There you go.
Troy.
There you go. I can name
Rock City.
I can name a Piston. I've got that going for me.
Tate Cunningham's having an awesome year.
That's the one.
So.
That's the one I can name.
Yeah.
Since Griffin, you did the randomizing, I have to pick your number for you.
Okay.
So 11.
All right, 11. I get the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
And the Chicago Bulls.
I don't know.
Go Jalen
Oh,
Smith.
you got screwed, buddy.
Might be.
The Bucks are playing like trash.
Might be over for the Bucks. It might be Doc might need to move into the booth. Like
there's already rumors out there that Giannis is going to get traded to the Warriors. It's like, what are we doing?
This is going to be what rights the ship.
This is the moment.
Yeah.
This is the moment. All right.
The games didn't matter until now.
And Jeremy, because I had to pick Griffin's number, you can pick my number for me.
All right, give you 9. That's the back end of the 69.
9.
You have the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh, Chet Holmgren just went out. Son of a bitch.
Oh, but you got the Toronto Raptors.
Isaiah Hartenstein back.
I got Hartenstein back. Oh, great. Wonderful.
Who's his other team?
The Raptors.
PFF Sean's in. He gave me his number.
What is he?
He said 1 because he's trying to jip it, but we
did randomize.
So he gets the Pacers and the Rockets.
Okay. All right. Those are 2 teams.
Pacers in the championship last year.
That's true. That's a fact. All right, buddy. What's coming up this week? What am I plugging for you?
I'll be at work the next 4 days. I'm still at concretelots.com. Had a phenomenal Friday night, a phenomenal Saturday, and got kicked in the teeth yesterday, which is always fun. So it's been good on there, though, like here now with basketball back. Had some great college hoops calls. So, doing a lot of that. And, of course, you'll hear me everywhere.
Very good. At JCon Sports is how you follow him. Love you, pal. We'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, guys. See you.
See you, buddy. Oh, and follow up with him. Make sure he pays. We're
Jeremy?
paying
Okay.
you again. Okay. It's complicated. It's complicated, but once we get into the other part of what we're going to be doing for Helping Up Mission, I just need to separate some things. So for this one, we're paying you.
Okay.
All right? So tell him he's got to pay you. I'll pay you. We'll all pay you for this one. And then the next thing we do, I think everybody's going to be paying me. But I'm working on all that right now. I am working on some plans for what we can do for Helping Up Mission. Guys, it just might not be as big as it's been some other years. I have to make peace with that being okay. One, it's an awful lot when I've got to do all the lifting. Like, it's just tough. It's tough. And every year I find myself saying, well, during the year we'll plan out something different. And it's just tough, man. Like, and I appreciate that other people have helped over the years, but you got to count on it for me the entire time. And when we switched from coats to toiletries, it just dragged down the interest level. I don't know how to explain it. I get it. I do get it, because you can just go to your closet and grab all the old stuff and like, oh, my kids grew out of this stuff. Like, I understand that it's way easier. And donating money, which is what we typically ask you to do with toiletries, although if you want to go get them your underwear, socks, anything like that, we can use all that stuff. We are happy to have you go do it. But it's not as personal, and I understand why it hasn't been the same. Now, we've still had great response, and you guys, we've spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on toiletries and underwear for the folks at Helping Up Mission, and I am grateful for it. But just trying to find an in-between to make it work. So I'm working on a couple of perhaps raffle items that would be significant. I don't have it all nailed down yet, but I'm hoping to have it nailed down very soon. And when I do, I will be passing along that information to you so we can take care of the folks at Helping Up Mission. All right? So I appreciate that. But right now what we need you to do is get in $20. You're going to Venmo Griffin. What's your
Griffin-Bass.
Griffin-Bass.
Yes.
When you do, just reach out, either to me or to Griffin, at Glenn Clark Radio, at
Griffin_Bass
on Twitter, and just say, hey, sent $20. I want in. Griffin will follow up. If we fill one up, we'd love to do another one. That's a lot to do between now and, when the games tip off tomorrow night. But that would be awesome. And then we could start with $300 in the coffers to go towards Helping Up Mission, which would be tremendous. And if you didn't like the teams, I'm not thrilled about the Thunder. They just lost Chet Holmgren. That sucks.
PFF Strong pointed out to me he had the Pacers last year, and they almost won it for him.
They did.
So he
almost pulled it off.
Somehow he gets the Pacers back-to-back.
That's very weird, right? Very weird. I think it's rigged. It's just
we've rigged it for PFF
I think
Strong.
you and Sean are in cahoots. Just being honest. That's what I think. But anyway, yes, please get in, hit us up, and we'll start the process for taking care of the folks at the Helping Up Mission with our NBA Cup draw. There's nothing else going on. Somebody told me, did World Baseball Classic qualifying start this weekend?
I guess so, because I saw
Matt Shaw's involved.
Yeah. Oh, really? Matt Shaw was involved. I saw that it was like the City Field was hosting something, right?
Okay, City Field. It's
but they were
freezing there.
They were hosting like some Dominican game. I forget. I don't know. Sarah Lang tweeted about it. That was the only reason I saw it. And
how about Messi getting eliminated from the playoffs? By the way, did you see that this weekend?
Speaking of things they should rig,
right?
How do you let him? How do you let him?
There's only one guy that anybody's watching, and they don't even get him to the final. It's crazy. All right, we come back in. We'll go over 5 plays, which seemed like it was 7 weeks ago, but we'll go over 5 plays.
Oh, Lidom is the Dominican league, I think, right?
Sure,
no,
it is.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't know.
But they were playing in City Field over the weekend.
Go over 5 plays when we come back in. Put the finishing touches on Ravens-Bengals. Today's show also brought to you by the Arthur Millette Show, which is back tomorrow night. We will be at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. Myself, Rita, Arthur Millette, and his special guest. Come hang out with us 7 o'clock for the Arthur Millette Show. PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. It's brought to you by Easy Pass. HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. It's Glenn Clark Radio. It is. swear it. I swear it's Glenn Clark Radio.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Pressbox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay or Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named number 1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
My man, Ben Graver, who is always at the top of the list of people that step up and support everything we're doing. Love that guy. He is already in. He wants number 5. Who does he have?
He gets the odds-on favorite, Boston Celtics.
Woo!
And then the odds-on non-favorite,
yeah, right.
the Brooklyn Nets.
Celtics and Nets.
Yes.
There you go. That's who he's got. That's not bad. Not bad to get the top team. Keep filling it up as soon as you get your money into Griffin. Again, please just reach out so that we know who you are. We can get you a number, and we'll see if those numbers are available. And we'd love to fill this first one up really quickly. If I could announce tonight that we're starting a second one that gives us 24 hours to fill it up, it'd be so great to fill 2 of these. That would just rule. If we could fill 2 NBA Cup, what would you even call it? Pools?
Yeah, NBA
pools.
pool.
NBA
Yes.
Cup pools.
NBA pools.
So please get in to help us help the Helping Up mission. We appreciate that. What?
Sabrina Carpenter, please.
Don't prove a mirror. Yeah, I know that song. I'm cool. I know. I might not be into McGee or whatever that
McGee.
guy. McGee, is that what he goes by?
Yeah. I'm not either, for the record.
It's just We put it on Friday after the show, and I really wanted to like it. I was like, young people like this. I want to be like them.
I mean, it's not bad, I guess.
It's not awful. I just
it's
don't
not something
know.
I'm seeking out. No.
Yeah, the line between noise and music was a little blurred for me. I said to Griffin, I'm like, here's the funny thing about me is I kind of like to hear the lyrics to the song. I don't love it when the lyrics are what?
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't.
It was
it
bad,
wasn't,
dude.
It wasn't.
It was bad, man. It was bad. I mean, I'm sure he's extraordinarily talented. He's definitely way more talented
he's
than
on
I
SNL.
am.
Yeah, he's.
Right? It's just not for me, man. That's the way that it goes. All right. Print issue of Press Box. If you haven't picked it up yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Derek Queen, Maryland. A little bit of a slow start against Mount St. Mary's, but they turned it on and steamrolled them to improve to 2-0. They're back in action tonight. Pick up this print issue with Derek Queen and Julian Reese on the cover right now for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms. Any of those hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. Read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. So here's the deal. We're going to go over 5 plays. It's going to be very difficult for me to argue because if it's not right in front of me, I have probably forgotten about it by now. I purposely made myself do this on Saturday, so I was at least still within shouting distance of when the game – Friday night. I did it Friday night after I had what was I doing on Friday night?
Basketball, maybe?
I had basketball on Saturday. I don't remember what I was doing on Friday night. I did something.
Soccer was over.
Soccer's
over.
Something was happening on Friday night.
What was Friday?
I don't remember, Griffin, but it's not germane to the topic. So we're going to leave it alone. We're going to move it. No, you know what? I didn't do it. I know what I did. I had I remember I was taking classes this semester. I had my final quiz. By the way, straight A's for your boy. Straight A's over this guy. I better damn well be getting straight A's. The hell is the point of doing any of this if I'm struggling, right? Like, I don't know what's
to challenge
going on.
yourself.
Yeah, I guess. But I had my final quiz.
Well, good job.
For the semester.
You still
on
got
Friday.
Okay, I guess so.
I beat because it wasn't due until Tuesday, but I said I'm knocking it out now.
Wow,
right?
look at this guy.
Now, and they've got the thing.
Top student Glenn Clark.
They got the thing. I might be on the honor roll.
Whoa. Dean's list?
Yeah, who knows? They've got the thing where it shows you what your grade is, but they don't actually officially post it until Tuesday. And there's a reason why it matters because it impacts how much of like the next few classes I have to take will be paid before by the taxpayers.
You're welcome, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate you. Shout out. I mean, for now, I don't know if it's still going to be an option come January. I might be assuming that, like, I'm signing up for all the classes, like, let the taxpayers pay for all of them. And then I get a quick email on January 20th, like, hey, the thing is, you're going to have to pay for the classes now. But anyway, that's what I watched UMBC Penn State, not great, and then I did watch Maryland Mount St. Mary's as well. But Maryland got off to a slow start. I think Mount St. Mary's.
Then they finally put Rodney Rice in, and
he went off. He did. He had a great game on Friday. All right, so here we go. 5 plays that told the story of the Ravens' win over the Bengals. My number 5. We brought it up on Friday when we were discussing what could make the list. And I did acknowledge that the Bengals, this was the last punt of the game. And it came because of a play. It didn't happen until after the fourth quarter started, but it happened because of a play that occurred late in the third quarter. And it was Nnamdi Madubuike's sack that caused the Bengals to lose 6 yards and back them up from the 34 to the 40. Now, I struggled with this one because it was only a first down play. So they still had 2 more plays that they had the potential to get the yards back, and they just didn't. But ultimately, it was the play that forced them out of field goal range and allowed the Ravens to capitalize off the momentum that they had started to get finally in the third quarter and get the ball back when it was still a 1-score game. So that Nnamdi Madubuike sack that bumped them back to the 40 is my number 5.
Yeah, that one's it's on my list. It's a little bit higher on my list, and I went with my number 5. I went with the Tylan Wallace touchdown. It's
much higher on my list.
This happened right after. So that happened right after that punt. I mean, yeah, I think it was a massive play. Obviously, anytime you have an 80+ yard play period, and this one was a touchdown, and it should have been the game tying, and then Tucker missed the extra point. I think that's maybe kind of the reason I have it somewhat lower than 4 other plays. But yeah, like it was just obviously a massive, a
can't believe it's
pivotal
so low on your list.
I mean, there were five. There
There
were a lot of big plays.
There
in
were
the
a lot
game.
of big plays.
Yeah.
I can't believe that one is so low on your list.
But yeah, Tylan Wallace and the 85-yard touchdown was
number 4.
Certainly top 5.
Number 4 for me. The last stop either team got in the entire game. The last stop happened with 9:29 remaining in the fourth quarter. And it was the Bengals going for it on 4th down. And, like, the play seems kind of routine because it's just insane that Joe Burrow tossed it up the way that he did to Jermaine Burton. Like, it had very little. But part of it is him not recognizing that Jamar Chase was coming open on that play and was available for him underneath to get the first down, which would have immediately been in field goal range, if not, again, allowing the drive to continue for them to go down and score 7 points. So it's the outcome of the play more than it's the actual play. It's the outcome of the fourth. This is the only other stop. They got 2 stops. They got the one that I referenced in number 5. They got this one. But it's a little bit because the play was there. Joe Burrow just, if he had waited a split second, would have seen Jamar Chase. Instead, put it up top, much like he did on the first 4th down, which was, these are your 4th down? Like, that's what you're doing on 4th down, guy?
Yeah.
Like, that is wild. But, yeah, the final stop of the game, 2nd and 9 from 4th and 2 from the 34. That's number 4.
Yeah, that's a good one. I had to go with another scoring play here, and this was the Rashad Bateman that proved to be the game-winning touchdown on 3rd and goal from the 5-yard line. Obviously, Lamar rolling to the left, and then ends up just doing the little flutter, drops it right in, and Bateman's flying across. Like the level of difficulty is certainly high on this play. So for Lamar to just put as he has been the last month now, really all season, he's just been perfect, putting the perfect amount of touch on every single ball, and connecting with Bateman there, and proved to be the game winning touch. Or sorry, this was the game winning touchdown.
Well. I guess it can't be a game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
It has to be a game-winning extra point.
Yes.
The way that it works.
And that was another play I did consider. I was considering the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, it's really fun. I referenced it in what I wrote. It did not make my list. You mean the one they got?
Yeah, when the Ravens went for 2 and so tied at 28-28.
Mm-hmm.
So that when they did that kind of I have no way to, I guess, explain it, but when they did that, it felt like they were going to win the game. Like, it was like just proving, because this is what the Ravens, getting Derrick Henry, there's no reason they should never be able to get 2 yards ever.
I agree.
And that was, and they played, that 2-point conversion was perfection. But this, happened inside the 2-minute warning, put them up 35-28. So this was my number 4 play, the Rashad Bateman touchdown from the 5-yard line.
All right. Number 3 for me. By the way, I'm good with it. It's not on my list, but I'm good with it.
I'm good with yours as well, too. That wasn't on my list.
You're wrong. Number 3, this is the Lamar Jackson play. And you can say that ultimately, he didn't score, right? Like, this is when you tell a story of a game, it's the inevitability of it. It's the inevitability. I didn't leave the 2-point conversion stop. I didn't put that on the list. And I said it's in part because, 1, they kind of got away with one, obviously, on that play. But
still
2,
stop.
Because, I don't know that it mattered what happened on that play. Because the more significant part was that the Bengals scored with that much time left on the clock. I put it in my column today. If you were sitting at my house on Thursday night, when the Bengals scored with that much time left on the clock, I fist pumped. Because that meant one of 2 things was happening. Either the Ravens were stopping them on a 2-point conversion try. Well, we guess one of 3 things. The Ravens were stopping them on a 2-point conversion try. They were kicking the extra point, and the Ravens were getting that much time to go down and win the game. Or they were converting on the 2-point conversion, and the Ravens were getting that much time to go down and win the game. It's the inevitability of Lamar Jackson. And in no moment is the inevitability of Lamar Jackson more back-breaking than in this moment, where the Bengals had been doing as well as any team could possibly do against Lamar Jackson. Remember, at that point in the game, they had surrendered 7 points. It was unreal. But this is the inevitability of Lamar Jackson. This is the when you think you have things going well, you can't. And Lamar Jackson absurdly darting backwards and somehow getting forward for what goes down as a pedestrian 10-yard gain, but we all know is so much more than that. And it ignites them. They feed off of the we'll get to the play of the game. They feed off of that. They convert it. They turn it into points. Sure enough, everything gets clicking, and they go on to win the football game. Number 3.
That was exactly where I had it as well. I had 2 plays higher on it, and it was just ridiculous. He covered 60 yards, and in the post game, I know because he was on the Amazon set after, and they were talking to him about it, and they were like, Lamar, how do you do this? He's like, I should have scored. He was like, he's still
100%.
Yeah,
right?
and he still knows he should have been scrambling for 59 yards on that play, not 58. Is what the next gen stats said. But yeah, that was my number 3 play. Just the sheer ridiculousness of the play. So
yep.
yeah,
No doubt. All right, my number 2 is where you find the Tylan Wallace play, and part of it is you're backed up. It's 3rd and 2 from your own 16-yard line. And again, the 3rd and 2 is not, inherited. What did I just say? Did I say it right? Did I get it right?
Inherited. I think you threw an E in there.
My brain is giving up, dog.
Inherently.
I think I said inheritably. That's what I think I said. I did not get it right. Inherently. 3rd and 2 is not, unmanageable. But you're backed up. Remember, you're pinned deep because that followed the one stop that you got in the 4th quarter, and it ain't easy sailing, and your offense has still been largely struggling. You had the benefit, obviously, of the Lamar Jackson, but you just hadn't had anything that had opened up the pass game the way that you would expect until that moment. And that I get your point that it didn't tie the game because they, Justin Tucker missed the extra point. But it did, right? Like, for all intents and purposes, this was the moment where all of the work the Bengals had done to build up a 2-touchdown lead was gone. It was no longer a value for them. Even if they do score a touchdown, the Ravens it's a 1-possession game. They're good. It changed. And then, then there's the added part of it, which is just the miracle that he somehow didn't step out of bounds. Because I think all of us, as we were watching it live, believed that he had probably stepped in. It's probably it's a great play, but it's probably coming back a little ways. And then to see that camera angle and say, oh, holy yes. Holy crap. And given, like the Brandon Stevens thing from earlier in the game, it felt like almost this massive relief. Like, finally, luck going our way. So yeah, number 2 for me.
And this is where I put the Nnamdi Madubuike sack. And just I just thought it was a big play. And mostly about just the game that he had. Up until this point, sack number 3.
Yeah.
He was wrecking the game. He was not allowing the Bengals to pull away in after being up. And everything that he does, stopping the run as well. But yeah, and then this play, just backing them out of field goal range. As you mentioned, they had to get a stop on 2nd and 3rd down too. But they knew at that point the Bengals were going to be passing on 2nd and 3rd and long, and they came up with 2 big stops and forced the field goal. And then 2 plays later, Tylan Wallace is gone. So.
Voila.
So Nnamdi Madubuike and the sack from the Baltimore 35, backing them up to the 40. Was my number 2 play of the game.
Well, and there was never any doubt about what was number 1 for this week.
We're covering that onside kick.
They had them right where they wanted them.
Yeah.
That's where the Bengals practice this all week, guys. We got to be down late so we can go for an onside kick. Because remember, you're not allowed to try an onside kick unless you're trailing.
It's like the money ball. It's like, this is the Ravens. It's the greatest offense of all time. They're one weakness.
Yeah. They actually drew up a play that would fail on the 2-point conversion so that they could go for the onside kick. Yeah, look, man, everything about the game changed when Marlon Humphrey got the ball out. There's just everything about nothing was going their way. They were playing like assholes as the guy. Like, I mean, they were. And we all, like, we're not mad at the guy. Like, he was right. Like, guys look like a bunch of assholes out there. And they did. And it all changed in one moment. In one moment, all of a sudden, it became a football game. And so, yes, Marlon Humphrey, strip of Chase Brown is definitively the number one play of the game.
Yeah, 100%. They, I mean, the offense had done nothing since the second drive of the game.
They had a touchdown drive and a bunch of 3-and-outs.
It was. I mean, yeah, and they needed something, and this quickly sparked them, put them immediately in, great field position, and they took advantage of it, and scored a touchdown every drive the rest of the way.
And it's the thing that they don't need a statistically good defense. They don't. They can get a statistically opportunistic defense, a defense that simply makes enough significant plays that even they give up a ton of yards, that'll be more than enough. More than enough.
Madubuike coming, or whoever coming up with a big sack, and then
100%.
Timely turnovers.
That's what they need. That's what they need. So there you go. Those are the 5 plays that told the story from the game that happened a year ago. That's what we got. We'll get them up at GlennClarkRadio.com.
That was good football.
Yeah, before all the football that sucked. Somebody else got after this guy. Like, I think Bill Barnwell was nicer about it than I was. I think that might be the difference. But like, I appreciate the people that aren't just patronizing this idiot. That's unfair. He might be the best. I'm sorry. This guy that made a dumb video. Bill Barnwell, no question there are bad teams and bad quarterbacks in 2024. But there are always bad teams and bad quarterbacks. A decade ago this week, Peyton Manning went 5 of 20 for 35 yards and got benched for Brock Osweiler. Wow. He won the Super Bowl. Mark Sanchez, Nick Foles, the Rams edition, Sam Bradford, Matt Castle, Tyrod Taylor, Johnny Manziel, and Brian Hoyer all started games 10 years ago this week. The 25 and under quarterbacks who played 10 years ago were Osweiler, Teddy Bridgewater, Marcus Mariota, Johnny Manziel, Jameis Winston, Derek Carr, and Blake Bortles. It's hipster bullshit. Dude, does football just suck now? Stop it. Like, we just... I don't know. I think football just might suck now. No. This happens all the time. You're mad because you had a bet that you lost. And you've decided to turn it... And you've got a million of the worst humans on the face of the planet that all go to the same website that are just looking for something to be insufferable douchebags about. Like, yeah, football sucks. The one thing that gives us all joy. That's it. Even if the Ravens had lost on Thursday, you know how I was going to spend my day on Sunday? Sitting around watching football. Like, I get it's probably not fun to be a Jets fan right now, but you know what they're going to do tonight? Sit around and watch football. Because there is nothing that gives us joy in this country like this sport. And you could say that's unhealthy. You could say that we might have a problem. We can talk about all those things.
Got a problem.
But this notion that it's because it sucks is just the dumbest of dumb shit. I'm Glenn Clark, and I approve this message.
Well done.
Let's get it.
Got my vote.
Thank you.
Well,
yeah. You might want to make me work for it a little bit more. I think I'm about as qualified as some of the other people that we voted for recently. All right. Tidbit is brought to you today by Live Casino and Hotel. Griffin, what's going on there?
$7 in free slot
Think anybody's going to be at Live Casino and Hotel watching football, or do they all think it sucks?
I bet they'll be there.
Yeah, I think so too.
And they should definitely be there on Sundays or whenever Baltimore Washington is playing a home game because they score lots of touchdowns. And every time that they do score a touchdown during their home games this season, Live Rewards members get $7 in free slot play. I have to have your Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine, any slot machine on the floor, and be actively playing in order to get your prize. But once those touchdowns score, $7 in free slot play. Adderall Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
To John Proctor's point, if you're like this guy and you think football sucks, all good. Come play trivia with us tonight. We could use you. Well, if you know, I don't know if we need that guy. If you know things about presidents, things about Africa, literature, anything like that, we could use you tonight to play on our trivia team. We're okay. We're decent. pop culture, pretty good.
They've got second place on lock.
Oh my God, we're killing. We are perpetually second, perpetually. But yeah, if you're out on football, if you're like football, it sucks now. Go ahead, that's true. It's a good point. We could use a movie guy. Our movie guy thought Slumdog Millionaire was one of the highest grossing films of the decade. It didn't make the top 100. We could use you. You can know things, or at least just know that Slumdog Millionaire didn't make that much money. If you know that, we could use you. Thank you. Go ahead.
So speaking of that terrible football yesterday, Jake Bates of the Lions became the first kicker in NFL history.
He made these two kicks by a combined 3 inches.
Maybe less.
Like,
he became the first kicker to have a game-winning 55-yarder, 55-plus. I think so. That was 58, I believe. That a game-tying. Did I say game-winner? First kicker to make a game-tying field goal of 55 yards or more, and then have a 50-yard game winner in the fourth quarter of the same game. That's the first time a kicker has ever done that, making two. So let alone two 50-plus. One, the 55-yarder to tie it, and then a 50-yarder on the game winner. So yeah, Jake Bates doing the air that no other kicker has been in. Kyler Murray, he becomes the 19th quarterback to throw for 100 touchdowns and rush for 30 touchdowns. So the 130 club, 100 passing touchdowns, 30 rushing touchdowns. 19th player ever, and he is the 12th to do it since 1980. Who were the other 11 since 1980?
Cam Newton.
Correct. Cam Newton, certainly on the list.
Michael Vick
on the list.
30 rushing touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, he is actually. Yes, yeah. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Steve Young.
He'll always have that.
Steve Young.
I swear he is. Yes, Steve Young is on the list.
How about Josh Allen?
Yes, Josh Allen on the list. 184 passing touchdowns to 57 rushing.
57 rushing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
John
Gaspo, Vick, and Allen. He also
Lamar. Lamar is on the list.
I don't know why I hadn't said that yet, but
Lamar is just makes it 31 rushing touchdowns for Lamar.
Thank you, John. I got it up now, so if you have another guess, I can. Russ. No, 30 touchdowns. Russ.
Russ is at exactly 30 rushing touchdowns.
That was going to be tough. Still need like 4 more.
Yes, we're at 8. Yes.
We're at 8. Oh, including
Kyler.
Yeah. Was the one from before Fran Tarkenton?
Tarkenton. He's one. He's on the list, but he's not since 1980.
Right.
So.
That's what I said. The one from before.
Correct.
That's what I.
But there are 7 other guys that have done it before 1980. Those are just a little tougher, lesser known names. So I just wanted to make it a.
I thought you said there was one from before 1980.
No. There were 19. There's been 19 ever.
Okay.
12 since 1980.
Got it.
But Fran's on that list.
Okay.
So not entirely wrong, but doesn't help you.
I misunderstood. This is on me. I accept responsibility. I know it's gonna sound crazy, but nobody fell forward for 1 yard like him. Tom Brady.
It is not Tom Brady. I wonder how many rushing touchdowns Tom Brady had.
That MFer could fall forward for 1 yard. No, we've never seen anything like it. How about
28 for Tom Brady in his career?
You're serious?
I'm serious. Yeah. Maybe he'll come back and just to get 2 more rushing touchdowns.
God damn it. How about Randall Cunningham?
Randall Cunningham, yes, on the list. 35 rushing touchdowns in his career. Over 200 passing touchdowns.
John Elway?
John Elway is definitely on the list. 333 rushing touchdowns.
What?
300 passing touchdowns.
I'm like, what the hell are you? 333 rushing touchdowns.
As soon as I said it, I was like, I guess that didn't
Holy
sound
hell.
300 exactly passing touchdowns, 33 rushing touchdowns.
He wasn't. McNair?
Steve McNair is on the list. 174 passing touchdowns.
That's the crazy part about it. He wasn't really a dual threat. Like, he could run, but he wasn't.
Scored 37 times rushing.
Still missing.
We're missing one more since 1980.
One more since 1980.
We got Steve Young, John.
Yeah, normally I used to forget him all the time. Oh, he says Warren Moon. That's not bad.
That is not Warren Moon.
Okay. All right, help me out because it's 12:35.
He was he was a Viking. I guess not that
Viking. Dante Culpepper.
Dante Culpepper.
I wouldn't have thought that he got to 100 passing touchdowns.
He was at 149.
He did have some pretty comical. Like he had some cartoonish seasons, just where, like it was just nuts how good he was.
34 rushing touchdowns, 149 passing touchdowns, and then the older guys on this list: Tobin Rote.
The great Tobin Rote.
Y.A. Tittle.
Okay. Y.A. Tittle was a very popular name in our house yesterday.
Okay.
So we took the kids to breakfast. Why? I don't know. I think Mrs. Clark.
Good for them. You were celebrating the Ravens. Everyone was on high.
Mrs. Clark did some drinking on Saturday night, and was like getting ready to make the kids breakfast on Sunday morning, and like definitely I could see she was feeling it, and was like, "Can we go to get breakfast instead?" And I was like, "I guess whatever."
I'm gonna miss the Panthers-Giants game, but
I put it on my phone, obviously. So we get there, and now my son wants to watch the game. He doesn't want to, and like my wife says, "No, you're not allowed to watch the game. We're at breakfast." And so I needed to come up with something to distract him.
Why do you live by different rules than them?
Yeah, it's she hates that, by the way. She's like, "Well, Dad has to watch the game because of work." He's like, "Well, he's not going to talk about the Panthers and the Giants tomorrow." It's a whole thing. Little did he know, we did. But
did you talk about the first quarter of
the
we
did. Well, not really. All right, anyway, shut up, you. Shut up. Whose side are you on?
Am I feeling Team Miss Clark here? I don't know.
So he's now, and then like his pen, we gave him a pen so he could draw a doodle on the thing they gave him. It wasn't working, so it's starting to come unglued. And then I said, I'm stepping in. And there was a game that I used to play with my dad and with some of my friends when I was a younger, nerdy sports fan. Now, we did it with baseball players, right? Where you would say the name of a baseball player, so go ahead.
Brian Roberts.
Brian Roberts. So you said the name, the first name starts with a B, last name starts with an R. So now my job would be to get another player whose first name starts with R.
Gotcha.
So I would say Rafael Palmeiro. And it would go back to you with a P, and you would say...
I would say Pedro Martinez.
Pedro Martinez. And I would say Mike Messina, and we'd keep going, right?
Yeah.
But the idea...
that would be... if we were playing like three people, then it would be a reverse back to me.
Oh, with the doubles?
Yeah, double M's.
You know, we didn't do that, but that's not a bad... I'm not opposed to adding that into the mix, Griffin. I like that. But then you would always... What you would really try to do is, again, you give me Pedro Martinez again. Just say
Pedro Martinez?
Mike Yastrzemski.
Whoa.
And now you're sitting there like, son of a bitch. A Y name? And you get 3 strikes before you're out, right?
Gotcha.
So you had to file away what the go-to names were of... And your Dono Ventura would be one, right, that starts with Y. So you'd have to file away for some of these more difficult names so that you would be, like Zane Smith was a go-to if somebody came away with a Z. You needed to know. I mean, Xavier Avery would work, Xavier Scruggs. Like, you'd have a lot of... You just had to have some of those names filed away for playing the name game.
Xavier Nady, yeah.
A lot of Xaviers. Big on the Xaviers. I can't think of a first-name Q. So if somebody hits you with, like...
who were the Q last names, though?
Jamie Quirk, I believe, was a pitcher.
Okay. Quackenbush, was that a guy?
Yeah, that was definitely a guy.
I forget his first name, though.
Yeah. But if somebody hit you with one of those, and you might just be like, I'm out, sorry. So that's the idea, 3 strikes. So I suggested that to him yesterday. I was like, well, we can broaden it. It doesn't have to be baseball players. We could be anything with 2 words, right? Like, so for example, cheddar cheese would work. Santa Claus, as long as it's got at least 2 words. Team names, Chicago Bears, things like that. So we start playing the name game, right?
Yeah.
And then inevitably you get the one that somebody says a Y. And these kids, like, they don't know Yancey Thigpen. They don't know your Donna Ventura. So I introduced the table. Well, there was a Hall of Fame Giants quarterback whose name was Y.A. Tittle. We told the story all the time. The time he
they
was
must
on.
Love that name, huh?
Yeah, they were having Y.A. What kind of name is Y.A.?
Literally,
His
the
name
last
is
name's even better.
Yeah, Tittle.
Yeah, Tittle.
There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, Tittle.
So now, after I introduced the game to them at breakfast, all throughout the day, like they
want to keep playing.
They want to keep. You want to start. You want to play it again, the name game. And every time somebody went to a Y, they were like Y.A. Tittle. Very popular name in my house yesterday. No idea why that was
warranted.
Yeah, very popular.
But yeah, do I even finish the list?
It's
not even worth
it. It's 2:00.
Jack Kemp, Fran Tarkenton, as you said, Roman Gabriel.
Yes.
On the 130 club. Terry Bradshaw, Steve Grogan.
Okay.
The prior to 1980 guys.
God bless them. God bless them, everyone. All right, very good. How about we get tubular?
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular this evening. Maryland basketball is in action, but not on television tonight. Why not? Big Ten Network Plus. They take on Florida A&M, 7 o'clock. Their final tune-up for the big one against Marquette on Friday night. UMBC's at home against Valley Forge. Go ahead, Griffin. What's Valley Forge? You tell me right now.
Oh, man.
Have you done one of their games?
I haven't done one of their games, but somebody played them right before a game that I had. Oh, shoot.
I did not know until I was preparing.
It's something I think it's something cool. It's is it the Shock?
No, it's not something cool.
Valley Forge. I don't know.
Patriots.
Oh.
Valley Forge Patriots.
Who's the Shock? Because I had a Shock recently.
I don't know. Coppin State's at Virginia tonight at 7 o'clock on ESPN+. Monday Night Football, Dolphins, Rams, 8:15. No Manning cast apparently tonight. No ABC simulcast. I don't know. Maybe because of the holiday, but that's it. Just on ESPN for tonight. Big Ten Network, Youngstown State, Ohio State at 6. Yale, Purdue at 8. BU and UCLA. BU's traveling out to UCLA? That's a weird one. 10 o'clock, those games on Big Ten Network. The rest of college hoops, find at glennclarkradio.com. Monumental, Wizards, Rockets at 8. NBA TV, Clippers, Thunder at 8. Tennis Channel for the ATP Finals. That coverage underway already today. And the USA Network for WWE Monday Night Raw tonight at 8 as well. Non-sports?
Outside of what we do in the shadows, really not a whole lot. Chris Evans and 50 Cent will be on Stephen Colbert.
Now, what are they plugging
They got a
together?
Christmas movie out.
That's what I thought.
Chris Evans is in that. The Dwayne
Red
Johnson.
One.
Yeah, Red
he is,
One.
yeah.
Dwayne Johnson will
I hope
also
50
be.
Cent's in it as well.
That would be nice. Dwayne Johnson will be on Fallon, though, as well for Red One. Or maybe Moana 2. I don't know, because both are coming up.
That's right.
And then that's it. Jim Parsons will be on Seth Meyers. Wendy McClendon Covey also on Seth
in
Meyers.
the St. Dennis.
Yes, she is in St. Dennis Medical.
Yes,
Which, tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is when that premieres. That is it. What we do in the shadows is the big one.
All right, very good. Thanks today to Dick LeBeau. Thanks also to Joe Unitas and to Jeremy Conn. We'll get it up in the greatest hits section of the.
Here we go.
Tab at glennclarkradio.com. Anything tomorrow? Patrick will join us tomorrow.
Yeah,
We'll talk some hoops.
Patrick will join us. We'll do fantasy football.
Yeah, Joe Serpico.
And stuff.
Oh, boy. All right, stuff and things. Thanks, everybody.
But
Press.
you did 8 hours of radio today, though, so that makes up for.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, right? Now take tomorrow off. Just no need. Thanks, everybody. Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Maryland 5-Star Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, Green Turtle, Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, the Costa Sin, MSAA, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday evening. Go Terps, go UMBC, go Coppin. Duke sucks.